Alright, all that talk about firing torpedoes made me have to take a serious dump, but I have accomplished my mission and I have returned to continue to talk about Starcraft 2 Hardcore. Let's see here, I was just talking to myself, I should say, about Falcons versus Valkyrie. Valkyrie would win, Falcons killing Firestorms, Falcon killing Griffin. Falcons are not the best unit to use against a lot of capital ships. Some of them it would actually do well against, like a torpedo frigate, for example, is based off of an attack submarine, which is an anti-capital ship, however, it has no real way, no weapon or a way to attack a Falcon practically. But it also cloaks. It really has, they literally don't affect each other. Falcons and torpedo frigates almost don't affect each other like an F-16 Falcon wouldn't affect an attack submarine, and the submarine wouldn't really affect it. Neither, they're literally like a submarine to an F-16, they just have nothing to do with each other. Yeah, a destroyer's guns would definitely destroy a Falcon if it got into its path. That's for sure. A missile cruiser does have a lot of missiles, and it would probably take down a Falcon. I say probably because, well, I'm not going to run it right here, but let's just put it this way. The missile cruiser's missile ability is unlimited range, and it attacks ground and air unit. And that is my dog Toby coughing up some kind of a hairball. He's just camped out next to me because he's wanting more food, but if you've seen how much he poops, you know he's getting too much food. So I'm not hearing it. He's just gonna have to wait till the next time we're having food. But he takes advantage of the fact that I can't remember the last time I fed him, and I don't ever want to feel like he's hungry, so I'll just feed him more. So he knows what he's doing. He's literally camped out right next to me, to the left of me, and he's looking at me right now. And after probably a couple minutes of noticing how I'm ignoring him, he'll eventually go back to the couch. So, but that's the noise that you're hearing if you hear him cough up a hairball or something like that. Capital ships, battlecruisers, again, not really. You'd have to have like 50 Falcons for a battlecruiser to have any kind of an effect. And why would you make 50 Falcons for just the purpose of killing a battlecruiser, right? So that's Terrans versus Terrans in the Falcon. And a lot of what I'm saying about the Falcon is actually going to apply for the Scout. So keep that in mind. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the Scout because I've basically spent all of it on the Falcon. So the Scout and the Falcon pretty much break even. They're basically the same cost. The Scout costs a little more because it is a little better. It does have shields to recharge on its own. It does turn tighter, and that's the reason why. Oh, there he goes. He goes back to the couch. He just gave up. Alright, good deal. So the Scout costs a little more because it turns a little tighter, and it's able to regenerate its shields on its own, so it does have a little more value. The Phoenix, the relationship between the Phoenix and the Falcon / Scout is that the Phoenix, for cost, would definitely win in a gun battle. Like, just even one Phoenix would win against a Falcon in a gun battle, let alone two. And if you look at the cost here, 50 mineral, 75 gas, it's definitely going to underprice the Falcon. The Corsair, again, the Corsair is not meant for fighting units like a Falcon. It's meant for like Mutalisks and Reapers. And with its cloaking device, it can do some reconnaissance really well, and it's 4 armor, so it can fly over a bunch of Hydralisks even without cloak and not take any damage really. So the Corsair is not really, it's gonna die to a Scout, or sorry, to a Falcon. So there is that. A Tempest is definitely a unit that the Falcon kills well. Void Ray and a Tempest are both units that the Falcon kills well. The Falcon, however, is wasting its time if it's using its missiles because of the hardened shield that the Tempest has. However, if you use guns only, it can shred a Tempest very fast. And if you notice here at the price, the Tempest is worth about twice as much as a Falcon. so that is a significant thing. You'd only need one Falcon to kill a Tempest very fast for half the price. A Void Ray is also the same thing. A Void Ray can be missiled because it doesn't have any kind of hardened shields or anything like that. And the Falcon can sometimes, one of the advantages of using a Falcon or Scout over an Immortal, even though they fire the same missile, is the fact that the Falcon or Scout can get a different angle. So if an Immortal is usually forced to have to fire from a certain position on the land, and it might have to fly over an enemy expansion or base that already has a bunch of prismatic cannons or anti-missile in general. But a Scout or a Falcon has the same missile, but it can get to a different corner of the map and fire from there and just dodge all of those anti-missiles. So that is something to consider. The Falcon or Goliath are usually good units to use when missiling a Void Ray. Usually you have to scan for them and combine that with the missile attack. The Arbiter has a slow field. It's like a time warp field around it. It causes all missiles to just begin to slow like Neo in the Matrix slows the bullets. Combined with prismatic cannons, it basically gives it 100% anti-missile ability. So using missiles against an Arbiter is usually wasted. You'd have to use guns only. So there is that. A carrier. The Falcon isn't going to do much against a carrier. You'd have to have a lot of them to do anything in a short amount of time, and most people will keep their carriers defended around prismatic cannons. So really a Falcon is not your best bet dealing with a carrier or super carrier, which is basically just more carrier in one. The Warbird is a new unit. The Warbird is also not going to take much threat to the Falcon. The Falcon is really kind of like, it's a multi-purpose, the Falcon and the Scout is a multi-purpose unit that's generally good against other smaller air units and against lots of land units like infantry and going in and ripping out a tank. It's not good against capital ships, so I'm just going to use that to summarize, and obviously not against the mothership. You'd have to probably have like 1,000 Falcons, and they'd probably lose like half of them. Yeah, against capital ships. The Dragoon and the Falcon, the Dragoon actually, even though it would die fast to the Falcon, it can still one-shot the Falcon. And if the Falcon is flying straight at him to gun him, the Dragoon will kill him. The only way that the Falcon can be effective against the Dragoon is if you strafe, meaning no intention of stopping and shooting, which is death usually for a Falcon. You want to fly right over and hope you can fly over the Dragoon. The Dragoon will miss. Then if the Falcon is not slowing or stopping, the Dragoon will almost always miss. So when dealing with Dragoons with a Falcon, you don't stop or slow. A Reaver is, well, let me get a Reaver out here, just so I can demonstrate this here. Generally, aircraft are your best unit for ripping out tanks if you can't hit them with artillery, if you can't use covert, just like that. I used more than half of his ammo to kill a Reaver. It will require you to have to slow down and stop though. That's the only downside. And that, like I said, that's usually death. If you've got an Immortal nearby, anywhere nearby, within range, if you've got a Photon Cannon nearby, anything like that, he's going to lose the Falcon trying to kill the Reaver. You'll usually save the Reaver and kill the Falcon if he has to stop and fire. You can do some strafing runs. Obviously, you would need to do more than one. You just saw how long it took, about a little more than a second to kill that Reaver. So one strafing run is not going to usually be enough. You have to turn around and do another. The Colossus has no anti-air ability, so Falcons could at least very quickly. Let me actually get one Colossus out here and do the damage on just from one Falcon to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. It'll get through the shields fast, but it'll slow down on the armor. And the other issue is how fast the ammo goes on a Falcon, which is, by the way, intentional. A real-world aircraft usually only carries about 5 to 8 seconds of ammo, and they fire in very, very short, controlled bursts. They don't just hose. Okay, that's how you empty all the ammo. They fire at such a fast rate. Aircraft do. They only have so many seconds of firing. So when people say, "Oh, the Falcon, the Banshee, and the Scout, they lose their ammo so fast," I hate to tell you that. but that's how real aircraft are. I'm sorry, I'm not making a silly game, this is a realism mod. So anyway, the Falcon right here, he's just gonna fire. Oh, let's redo this test, this time with guns only. Knew it messed it up. Get him charged up and then, okay. This is why I always do guns only, even when there shouldn't be a cause for concern, but I do it anyway because I always forget that the Colossus is considered a land and air target when air weapons can attack him. Okay, so we're out here now, further from the shield battery, and I'm just going to go guns only. We're going to see how fast the shields go down. Literally, it emptied most of his shields, but he's got to go get ammo now. So, about 700 points of damage per strafe run. You just saw it for yourself. About 750 damage per strafe run for a Falcon, and then now he's got to go home and he's got to get more ammo. And I want to see how fast it goes against the armor. It's going to be slower against the armor. See, that Colossus shield regeneration is just so fast. You'd have to have several Falcons. Let's do this again. You'd have to have several Falcons. He does get through the armor okay, though. I mean, it is a Gatling gun, even though it does most of his damage versus light. His default armor is, 3. He has an upgrade. The Colossus has an upgrade to add 5 armor to it, so he can go from 3 to 8. Makes it very effective against him. But yeah, you can see his health is actually still doing it's doing okay. Oh, that's right, the Colossus shields is 2. That's right. So really, that's why his health is not doing much better than his shields were, because the Colossus has 2 armor for his shields as a base. So yeah. So you can see that if you had enough Falcon, you could, I would still consider the Falcon a counter to the Colossus, but you're going to have a number of them to kill it in a timely manner, and you're probably going to have to stop. Strafing runs are just not going to do that much total damage. You're going to have to stop and unload and then get out. So there is that. So we're going to take him, and I guess we'll keep him over here, I guess. Look at this. This is a test map, and I'm even being conservative. Nope, let's just get rid of him. Yep, just going to get rid of him. Now I got this debris here. Alright, there it's gone. So that is the Falcon. I've spent a lot of time on a unit that most people hate using. I just wanted to talk about it a little bit so you can see that it's unique. This is the kind of unit that like I only make them every now and then if I really need to, like if I see Guardians. Yeah, I didn't mention that. Some of the units that the Falcon is really good at killing, Guardians are one of them. A Broodlord it does surprisingly well against the Broodlord. In fact, let me get a Broodlord out here so you can see for yourself what I'm talking about. Basically it's a one-way mission, because the Falcon uses its guns to be effective against the Broodlord. Let me actually get a Spindle out here too. Who dare attack my Broodlord? Who did that? Seriously, like, where the heck did that come from? That was strange. I thought we were all friends over here. Okay. Spindle. I haven't really talked much about this, but... Oh, that is not right. This test map. Well, I can't use the Spindle. It's not supposed to be that big. But for whatever reason, on this test map, it's just all messed up. So... great. Well, I'm gonna have to remember that before I start the Zerg thing. Okay, so he's here with guns only. And I want to show you just how fast. Now, Broodlords actually do grow with kills, so they do get bigger. They can get up to 2,000 hit points, so they can double in size. So this is just a baby Broodlord, and I just want to show you how fast. He's still got 24 rounds left, and he shredded a Broodlord. This is Broodlord doesn't have any real hard armor. His strength is in his distance and using his birdlings from a distance. He's not an assault unit like the Spindel is for the air units. He's not meant to take damage like that. So if you can get a Falcon in, Falcons are good for both Guardians and Broodlords. And of course, Valkyries are too. But a Falcon usually is going to be on a one-way mission. It took him a couple seconds to kill that Broodlord, but that Broodlord's little broodlings are going to come straight after him and attack him and basically kill him very, very fast. So it's very dependent on who attacks who starts attacking who first. The Broodlord, though, is actually in danger of Falcons. So you may not like making Falcons, but you better start like making Falcons if your opponent likes making Guardians and likes making Broodlords, because Falcons counter them, as you just saw. Let's see here. What else do we have here? Devourers. Well, this is apples to oranges. The Devourer has a different mission. The Devourer is kind of like the he counters things like Reapers, he counters things like Monolisks, and he can devour land units. I don't want to make this a Zerg tutorial, but these are very different units. So his damage is 6 or 10, and his armor is 4. So he literally used more ammo to kill that Devourer than he did to kill Broodlord. Broodlord has very little armor, but a Devourer has a lot thicker armor. So one Falcon will, if it has a full amount of ammo, basically. He used 90% of his ammo, basically, to kill that Devourer. So he can kill one Devourer and get back home. Devourers are not usually the kind of unit that's threatening you. Now, Devourers do grow. They do get to be huge in size. They grow as they eat units. So that is something to think about. You're going to need a lot more than one Falcon to kill a Devourer later on. So there is that. I think that pretty much covers the air units. Yeah, oops, a Matriarch. A Matriarch made at a hive right here is usually gunned down or missiled down very quickly by Falcons. And then of course there's a Leviathan. It's not even in the same category, so Leviathan can missile this thing one at a time. So that's the Falcon. Not a lot of people love it or hate it. It is still a useful unit, straight up. I know its turn sucks, and I know it's hard to control, but a lot of the times Falcons are on one-way missions. If it's a Broodlord or a Reaver or something like that, they're probably not coming home, but you probably need to trade. That's why you're doing it. It's a good trade. Trading a Falcon for a Broodlord is a really good trade. That's a counter. It's okay if you lose the Falcon. You don't have to bring them all home, especially if you kill something more important than himself. So that is the Falcon. I wanted to spend a lot of time on him because... oh, and to give a demonstration of the strafe, if I were going to use a strafe, I'm gonna see this line of buildings right here. What I'm gonna try to do is play pool. So I picked a point. See where my mouse cursor is? Somewhere where it's kind of a straight line from there. And I'm going to say guns only, and this is how, I'll demonstrate the firestorm here soon, but you strafe by doing like that. See that line? And I got the Q all the way across the map, so he doesn't want to decelerate. Now he's going to fly over. Didn't kill as much as I would have liked, but yeah, that was kind of sad. Oh, he's messing up my circle. I like to keep that circle to kind of show like the turn radius of the Falcon. Come on, don't mess up the circle. Alright, let's go home with it now. Go and be healed. Okay, that's the Falcon. The Wraith is similar to the Falcon in terms of the things it kills and so on, but because the fact its mission purpose is very different. Yes, its price is subject to change as compared to these other units. It's still not priced right compared to a Falcon. It should be twice as much. It is a stealth fighter. Okay. The Protoss have a Corsair as their stealth fighter, and the Terrans have a Wraith. And the Wraith is truly a scary unit. You can also, at the Fusion Core right now, you can upgrade the reactor to double its maximum amount of energy. And if I was going to spam Wraiths, I would absolutely want that upgrade. It uses the same amount of energy to cloak as it does for its weapon, so that all runs out very quickly if you've got him attacking and cloaked. 200 energy Wraith is just so much more useful. A 100 energy Wraith, it seems like you're always having to run them back home. Now, if you've noticed here, the turn radius on a Wraith is actually very tight, and this is also symbolic of like an F-22 Raptor, or any other kind of like stealth fighter type class, which also has a very high turn rate, very tight turn rate. So yes, when it comes to dogfighting, it is a superior aircraft when it comes to like fighting against Falcons, which are an older aircraft. Okay, so yes, even a 1v1 without cloak, the Wraith will still dominate, but that's the thing, you can afford more Falcons than you can Wraiths. The Wraith mission purpose, however, is not what you would think it is. So I'm going to keep him on hold fire right now so he doesn't be a jerk over there. And I don't know if they have radar, I don't think they do. But what I'm doing right here, I'm going to find out, I guess, right? Right here, he's an over-glorified observer, but when you combine a cloaked Wraith with siege tanks, which have 100 range and give you vision of targets, this is extremely useful. Just to have a Wraith camping up here. And if you look at his energy drain, oh wait. Yeah, that's right. The fusion core, not only does it double oh wow, you can do it. Let me see if I can get another one. Let's see if I need to fix this. Let's see if it goes to 300. I don't think I've ever fixed. You're only supposed to do one upgrade, but I want to see what happens.
Upgrade
nope,
complete.
It doesn't add anymore. Ha. So if they paid for it, they're paying for nothing. That's fine. I still need to I'm just writing it down right here on my little notepad that Wraith energy upgrade needs. I gotta get that thing so it goes away after you use it the first time. And really the Wraith needs some choices. All these other units have choices, and the Wraith is such a pivotal unit. All aircraft, I forgot to mention this, a Falcon, a Scout, a Wraith, they all have radar. See how you can see stuff out here? Because Wraiths, Falcons, and Scouts all have radar like, you know, actual aircraft have radar. So they all have radar. That is something to think about as well. But the fact that he's so fast compared to like an observer, now granted, he costs what? At least 4 times, almost 4.5 times as much as an observer. Okay, so he is an overglorified observer here, but this is so very deadly. Just keeping a Wraith. In fact, I was working on the AI coordinating Wraith and siege tanks so that when siege tanks were in an area or in range of something important, that it would then send a Wraith out with hold fire just to be the vision. If you know the enemy didn't have any kind of air detection, to send the Wraith out just for vision, so it can pot shot. In fact, I need to work on that. Probably when I'm done with this video, I'm going to do that because it really made Terran AI very dangerous, and you see how effective the Wraith siege tank combo is, or ballista if that's what you want to use. Artillery combined with a Wraith as a spotter is very effective. I could really say that this is its most valuable asset right here. Recon, sight, vision, right here. It is able to attack things with its laser, and it does have missiles the same as Falcon, range 80. It's the same weapon as a Falcon. So air-to-air wise, it's the same in missile aspect. It can get in here though, and its laser is still deadly against single targets. It does not have a strafe though. I need to say that. I need to be more clear about that. It doesn't have a strafe, but it does plasma on single targets. See how I literally just came in here? I just stripped away all these nasty shot turrets because it kills everything. The Wraith is a very dangerous unit. You can, like, if this were a Protoss town, let me go to a Protoss city over here.
Your forces are under attack.
The obelisks. I'm gonna kill that. Uh-oh. So you killed your obelisk. You have any observers probably? You're probably gonna die. You probably have an observer, don't you? Yeah, combine it with Monolith scan and how you can... Oh, there's this other obelisk that just came up. Kill it. The AI got them set for their budget. When there's Wraiths in the area, they will just one obelisk after another.
Your forces are under attack.
I didn't look at those guys. Let me get another Wraith going here. But as you can see, his weapon is still useful, especially the fact that you have cloak. Per cost, granted, 4 or 5 Dark Templar. You can get this 4 or 5 Dark Templar for the cost of 1 Wraith. And obviously that's going to be way more damage per second. How did you see me? I want to know how you see me. I'm actually kind of curious. Is it because he's got a greater spire somewhere? Probably. He's got some kind of radar going on. And I'm going to scan to see if I can't see what it is. This kind of makes me curious. What are you making there, bud? More turrets. How did you get detection? How did you get detection? Oh, he's gonna crash. Boom, just like that. Where is your detection? These are those times, even like now, I don't know how he's getting detection there, and I'm trying to find the cause so I can sleep better. But this is where people will be like, they'll start complaining about how it is something. It's probably an observer or something. Let me get another Wraith over there. These poor Wraith pilots. I should probably make more than one. Okay, so we're going to send them, we're going to cloak them, and I want to see what is giving him vision? What is giving him vision? I'm really curious about this.
Your forces are under attack.
Too. What the heck? Is there like some observer following me or something? This is really strange. Oh, the hives are detectors. I forgot about that. Yeah, so that makes sense that he was shooting me there. A hive is a detector. What I'm trying to figure out is when I was over here. What is causing you to want to shoot at me all of a sudden? Something right here. Okay, there's something. There is something that's got detection right here. And I'm trying to figure out what it is. I know, I should really move on with the tutorial. This is just really bugging me right now. How the heck those units are shooting at me right here. How are you shooting at me? Do you have a science vessel? I wonder if he's got a science vessel. He doesn't have a science facility. Wow, this is a mystery. Do you have radar here somewhere and it's like an infested building model or something? I'm going to have to play the replay. I am wasting too much time on this. And this really bugs me. This might be a bug somewhere. I'm trying to figure out how that they have detection. Right when I go in here. Here too. Okay, not here. But here. Right here. What? How? What? How? Oh, don't make me bring a science vessel over there. Alright, well, that's a strange mystery. Don't know what is giving him detection. Is it, don't tell me it's like some ground detector. Or are the, let me see something real quick. Infested missile turrets. I was going to say, are infested missile turrets still a detector? Nope. What is giving you detection over here? No. It can't be the orbitals. It would have the detection label. What is giving you detection? No observers. There's an obelisk right here. The fleet beacon. Oh, that is old. Oh my gosh. Oh wait, no, that's not old. That's not old. My bad. I totally forgot about that. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad I remembered that. Yeah. I thought they were hacking. The fleet beacon has air radar for the Protoss. The Greater Spire has air radar for the Zerg, and then the radar tower has radar for the Terran. I totally forgot about the fleet beacon. Different buildings have different functions now. So a forge generates power. A fleet beacon does radar, air radar. Every race needs some kind of air radar unit because of how wraiths are, and because of how, yeah. So that thing's got a radius 36. Yeah, that makes sense. Now, why when I would fly right there within the range, it was right within detection. Okay, I'm happy now. I know what it is. I just thought it may have been a bug or something, and I forgot. Fleet beacons do that now. Let's get back to the Wraith here. Let's see, let's go through all the units here about the goods and the bads and how they might differ from the Falcon. Wraith is really good at getting in and killing a putrefier or defiler. The Zerg do have plenty of detection now. Their lair and their hive. Their hive has a radius 17 detection, and their lair has like radius 11. And that's all. That's ground and air. Their Greater Spire is their air detector, and also their overseer. Actually, now that I think about it, the lair should not have air detection. It's okay as a ground detector. The reason I say that is because this is too much air detection going on. I can understand a hive. It's a very big advanced structure that's got all the same stuff that an overseer has. It's got all, but a lair, lairs are pretty common to make. And it takes away from the value of having a overseer. Not only that, but as you can see right here, the Overlord is a radius 6 detector. It's a very short range detector, but it is a detector for both air and land. And the Overseer, I know I have one. Where is my Overseer? Do I not have one? There he is. Where are you? Okay, you're way over here and you're slow. Let me upgrade you. Just taking his sweet time, strolling. Get
Research
moving there. Okay,
complete.
so now he's got his speed going. He's more respectable now. The Overseer has like a radius 16 or 17 detection, and he does both air and ground detection. The Overlord, just the normal Overlord is just radius 6, so it's a much smaller area. The lair really shouldn't have air radar because it's redundant to the Overseer and to the Greater Spire. So I'm going to have to change that so that it's ground only. The other issue is, see that the lair, I know I'm getting off subject here from the Terrans. The lair can make creep tumors, which are ground detectors for the radius of the creep. So the idea is, if you are on creep, if there is a land unit and his feet is touching the creep, the Zerg know that it's there. Simple as that. If they're on the creep, the Zerg detect it by ground. Now there is an exception for the hive, which has its creep goes further out than the others. The first couple range units of creep it doesn't detect, but then it does. So for the most part, if you're on creep, the Zerg can detect it. So this is why the lair doesn't, there's too much detection going on for the Zerg side. The lair should not be an air detector. It's redundant. So I'm gonna have to change that. Especially now that they have the option, now that the Greater Spire is a air radar unit, and now that they have anti-missiles. See, before they didn't have anti-missiles, and before the Greater Spire was not air radar, so these Overseers would just get shot down like nothing. Now you can keep an Overseer near one of these things, and it will be safe from missiles. So now you don't need the lair to be a detector, at least not for air. It's okay as ground, because like I said, if it touches the creep. So there's that. Back to the Wraith. That 200 energy is amazing. I haven't even gone halfway yet, isn't it? Against Zerg, same counters basically apply. The Corruptor is going to hurt them even more so for cost. The Brutalisk, also the same thing. The Brutalisk has an ability as well. Let me get this Wraith going so you can see how evil this is. So he's got an ability, he's going to fire it. There he goes. And see that Seeker? That thing is going to go after him for like 30 seconds. And it's got a very good turn radius, and it hit him. Now, it only got him down to half health, but the thing has that Seeker Spore that I just fired out of the Brutalisk. It has an unlimited range, basically, if I'm not mistaken. And it's unlimited range, and it will last for like 30 seconds. You can shoot them down, so if you fly over back to your base, they can be shot down for tailing it. But if you do not fly back to your base, you just saw it, you'll be sitting out there trying to dodge the thing for a long time. And if you try to run away from it, I believe it does overtake most aircraft. So that is one ability. If you spot a Wraith from across the map with a Brutalisk, you can, if you've got him hotkeyed, which you should, you can quickly control group him and then use his ability on the Wraith. So at least you've got something going from far away, some kind of pressure. But if he goes back out of detection, there's a thing in this game where damage only has a 50% chance of hitting a unit that is cloaked if he's no longer detected anymore, so there is that. But it's something. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's something from far away, because sometimes you only have a couple seconds of actually seeing or spotting a Wraith. Most of the time they're invisible and you don't see them, so if you have that rare moment where he's on screen and you've got him detected, your Brutalisk is across the map, I usually quickly just get this and just get something out at him. Just something, because like I said, hey, half health isn't bad, he might already be damaged. It doesn't take much to get him to have to crash, so there's that. Brutalisk is still a good counter. In fact, now with the energy upgrade, I should have shown this before I got the energy upgrade. With the energy upgrade, I believe he has enough energy to actually kill a whole Brutalisk, and I want to test this out real quick, but I'm pretty sure that he does. And I want to see how much damage he does per energy. Come on, let's not. So you can see, yeah, even with 100 energy, he should kill a Brutalisk. This actually can't change, even though I would think that he shouldn't be able to kill a Brutalisk. His damage values actually are set for reasons. That Brutalisk is going to need to have detection nearby. Now, if the Brutalisk has detection nearby, he will kill that Wraith fast, because his attack, it takes 2 hits to kill this Wraith, and the Wraith basically has to be still while shooting its laser. I mean, it can be drifting a little bit, like it is right here, but it'll still get hit by the Brutalisk. So if the Brutalisk sees the Wraith is done. However, if the Wraith kills off all the detection in the area, that's a different story. This is why the Wraith can be very, very scary, because all it's got to do is keep the detection dead. Now, the Hive is just a nice, solid, just stay away Wraith. It's a 17 radius detection, and you're not killing a Hive with 4,000 hit points and 4 armor anytime soon as a Wraith. So this is one safe place for the Zerg. So there is that. But yeah, the Wraith is just like a Dark Templar or Spectre is a very dangerous unit. I believe that a Wraith has just as much potential in a different kind of way that a lot of people haven't used yet. I really need to play with these more in multiplayer games. I just don't. I usually start getting into the infantry tank push, and then make some kind of a specialty unit, maybe go to a battlecruiser or whatever. I kind of have this way I usually like to play, and then I don't vary it up too much. That's a mistake, I know that, but it usually works. So is it too much of a mistake, right? Every now and then I'll have the opportunity. See, they cost a lot of gas. That's the thing. If I'm on a map where I've just somehow ended up with a lot of gas, I always like to ask myself, what weird, wacky things can I do now on this map? Like make a bunch of rocket artillery, just a bunch of ghosts and tac nukes. And another thing you can do with a bunch of gas is make a bunch of wraiths. And I really think that if you made enough wraiths, it would be pretty scary, because other than the Hive, like for Zerg, I mean, you can kill most of his detection pretty fast. overseers. You know, you can scan and kill the creep tumor. Not that he cares about creep tumors, but any kind of his air detection, like his Greater Spire. Greater Spire doesn't have a whole lot of hit points. Is it 1,000 hit points? I think is what it is. Let me build a Spire and then upgrade it. It is 500 hit points per Spire, and the Greater Spire is what, 750? Yeah, 750. So let's do a quick test now. It's the same as a Brutalist, so you can see how much damage he could take a Greater Spire out if he sits there and just shoots away at it. That's the thing, if he's allowed to do that. If you have other detection nearby and a Seeker Nest, the Wraith is not going to be able to do that. And it is a detector, so why did I say other detection nearby? If you have a Seeker Nest near a Greater Spire, which acts as air radar, the Seeker Nest will kill the Wraith before the Wraith can kill the Spire. So these two combined right here is an anti-Wraith defense mechanism. Even a Spore Crawler with Hold Fire, waiting for him to stop, could also work. Like I said, they have air radar of 36. So the Wraith's range for his lasers is 13. So 36 versus 13, you're going to spot him out here on radar. So this radar, Greater Spires, and Fleet Beacons, now that I know, are basically a good counter. Detection, obviously, is the counter to a Wraith. Detection and something to kill it is all it takes to kill a Wraith. And the Wraith's game is to try to either avoid the detection or kill the detection if it's weak enough, like just a single Overseer, and then it's in business. But something like a Greater Spire or a Hive, which is more in like a main base, it's not something that a Wraith can just punk very easily. So Wraiths are kind of, they're a mixture of, they are a scout unit in that they provide vision, but they could also raid very well too. They could just go in and just kill, with a couple of them especially, kill a hatchery, kill all the workers, kill the High Templar, kill whatever it is, and then get out. So there's that. So that's Zerg. I talked about Zerg. I think, yeah, I've already... With Terran, you have a radar, which is more fragile. Let me build one here so you can see it. Oh, there's one right here. It's more fragile, 50 hit points, no armor. So that thing right there can die to a Wraith pretty fast. You'd have to have a couple flak turrets or something around it. Something that when it stops to fire, it's going to get clobbered. A radar by itself is just asking for a Wraith to come in and kill it, because Wraiths hate radar. And so there's that. But radar is a way. A Raven is a detector, but it's not a very good one against the Wraith, because the Wraith can missile it from far away or gun it down from close up. A Raven is just not a good deal. Now you do have comm scan. You have comm scan to keep the Wraith on his toes, so he's always just got to be getting out of the, staying unpredictable and going other places maybe they don't think he's going to be. So there is comm scan as the last ditch effort. The Wraith's lasers do outrange the science vessel detection radius by a couple units, I believe. That is intentional. That's not accidental. That's so that way you have a need for making radar. Where did Mr. Wraith go here? Mr. Wraith. Here we go. Stingers can shoot a Wraith down with one missile. You need detection. It's also good because Wraiths are usually, when you're using a Wraith, you're overwhelmed. You've got a lot of stuff. You're always, you're moving around to new areas so quickly that you're having to very quickly look at what's in the area and ask yourself, do I want to stay here or not? So the Wraith, he doesn't have time to find that one stinger that's hiding in a group of Marines. He doesn't just have time to see that. So a stinger, can obviously kill a Wraith very quickly, and the Wraith isn't going to probably notice him to do anything about it. And he's looking for higher value things like a radar or something like that. Or even a missile turret would be a better catch for him. Yeah, he's a different one. And of course, then there's that stupid snipe ability. I gotta get rid of snipe. If I can't even just change it for the time being, I gotta disable it, because that is just it just instant hits all these units with all this damage, and even if the unit is going speed 22 and cloaked, there's this guy with his sniper rifle that thinks he just capped a Wraith pilot in the head from 10,000 feet away. In fact, I want to get this moving here. I want to see if I can snipe him. Hold on. Dude, keep moving. I want to see what the damage is. So 39. Oh yeah, because of the armor. Okay, so if the air unit is moving fast, that's right, armor plays a big factor now in the snipe damage. So now, yeah, at least if the aircraft are moving fast, you can't snipe them, but it still needs help with like a gunship. You could argue, I guess, that the Ghost is using some high caliber rifle and he hit the gunship pilot. You could argue that. It's ridiculous though, because then the Stinger has less value if you could just make a marksman. You know, so that, I mean, that's got to change. I'm just trying to see if there's a way to. Well, anyway, the Wraith against Terrans, we've pretty much talked about it. I'm going to go on to Protoss and move on to the next. So Protoss have observers for detection. Also, their detectors are High Templars. The three detectors that they have are obelisks. Where is my obelisk over here? I don't have an obelisk. For shame. Let me get an obelisk going. An obelisk is a detector, detects ground and air. A High Templar also detects ground and air, the same radius as an obelisk, which is about 11. Which this right here is range 11, so you can get an idea of what radius 11 is. So ground and air, obelisk, High Templar, and observers. Y'all know what an observer looks like, I hope. Then of course the fleet beacon is air radar. I totally forgot about, and the reason why that's necessary. See, without the radar, air radar, Protoss would be lacking. It would have 3 radius 11 detector types, 1 land, 1 air that's invisible and kind of slow, and then 1 building. And so 1 land that's slow but can move but has less hit points, 1 that's bigger, you know, it's a healer too, and it's a building, and then an actual air unit that's cloaked permanently. So that's a nice variety, but the problem is against the Wraith, all 3 of these would fail. All 3 of them would fail. They don't have enough detection radius, and so that's the reason why one of the buildings had to be radar. Now the Dark Shrine, all these buildings have different abilities, and the Dark Shrine cloaks buildings around it, so it's kind of a defense building like that. The fleet beacon is a detector, radius 36, and this is exactly why. This right here arrives at the same time that a Wraith does in terms of cost. So you would put up one of these to be defense against a Wraith, and there it is with 750 again. So a Wraith has enough to kill a fleet beacon in 1 run, but he's got to sit there and shoot it for a little bit. So a photon cannon next to a fleet beacon should be enough to keep a Wraith out, because the photon cannon will one-shot the Wraith, I believe. Where is my Wraith here? Yep, 40 health, and then the photon cannon is doing 50 damage right there. So this is why 1 photon cannon, which has range 25 too, by the way, which is double this range 13 burst laser. It has double the range of a Wraith. It'll one-shot the Wraith, and the shield radius is 36. My dog is bugging me again. He's looking at me like he wants something. He's bugging. We just went out to the bathroom. We just ate, and he's looking at me like he wants something. It's just, it bugs me. I know he's bored, but I mean, what is it? It's 6 in the morning now, for heaven's sake. The sun hasn't even come out yet. It's like 28 degrees outside. And he's just looking at me like he wants something. But we got at least 3 or 4 more hours until it's warm enough to go outside, so, okay. Fleet beacon. Fleet beacon is what you want for radar, or for defense against a Wraith. You can storm them. Immortals shoot them down just as well as a Falcon, and also Scouts are in jeopardy. They're in danger of a Wraith if they're not near detection. They get missiled or gunned, and they have no defense. That is the sound of my dog drinking water in the background. He's making me thirsty too. Alright. Let's see here. That's pretty. I think I'm done with the Wraith. Figure the rest out. How about that? I'm getting lazy. As this tutorial goes on, I'm gonna get lazier and lazier because there's other units that I'd rather spend more time talking about and that need more time talking about. Let's see. We got the Viking here. I did already talk a lot about the Viking in an earlier video. How his weapon is actually an anti-capital ship weapon. Range 55 torpedoes. They don't turn very tight. They're not. They can be used for hitting small aircraft if those aircraft are not moving. But if they're moving around, it's going to miss them. So it really depends on how much they're moving. But you can, like with this, you can do the shoot move thing. See how I just did that? That's how you shoot and move. And this is really the best way to use this against dangerous targets that are firing back into it. That Valkyrie is a champ, isn't he? But this Viking right here, it costs less than 500 to 150. Valkyrie 750, 250. But you can see how this Viking actually can do a lot of damage to this Valkyrie because, like I said, he's got torpedoes. He's meant for taking out larger warships, not small ships like scouts and raids, but larger ships, corvettes, destroyers, cruisers, that sort of thing. And that is his only weapon now, his torpedoes. He fits that role for the Terran that other air units don't do. He can then go, it takes a couple seconds to go into this land mode where he has a really nice minigun. And the minigun just shreds lots of units. It does 5 damage, range 11. So it's the same range as a lot of defenses like a Prisma Cannon. But I mean, it does really well killing units, vulnerable areas. He is vulnerable while he's taking off and landing. So like for example, so if I'm flying around, see the spore crawler right here? It would be stupid for me to do this because that spore crawler has several seconds now. See how many seconds he just sat there? That spore crawler can hit him while he's still in the air and while he's going down into land mode. And if he takes off, he can also still be hit before he starts moving. So a Viking is vulnerable to air attacks from like long range anti-air if he goes into this mode. However, he is useful for raiding like little islands that help have mission defense. He can just go in, he can just land. It's kind of like a really fast drop. He's like a whole group of Marines that just can drop, kill, and then get back up and keep going. So, I mean, the Viking, it's the name Viking, it's a very versatile form of raider in that sense. And his torpedoes are anti-capital. Stingers do well against him, whether he's in land or air mode. The reason is because the Stinger outranges him, and it only takes 2 Stinger missiles to kill a Viking. 2 Stinger missiles to kill a Viking. And he's vulnerable when he's doing this landing and takeoff, and it's usually when the Stinger missile will most likely get him. So he is vulnerable when he's doing that. He's also vulnerable because when he's sitting there with his minigun just attacking away like a happy Viking, that's when the missiles just come out of nowhere and kill him. So there is that. Stingers do well against him. I don't want to even talk about snipe right now. That's a sore subject to me until I fix it. It's the first thing I'm going to do when I'm done making these recordings today is fix snipe. It's just so ridiculous right now. So out of these infantry units, obviously Stingers are best bet again, because Stingers are anti-vehicle, anti-large. All these other units just do not do well. None of them, really, other than snipe. Reapers, okay, now if you're going to go as Reapers, he's actually way better at killing Reapers if he's on the ground with his minigun. His torpedo is a really big waste of ammunition against the Reaper. It's using an anti-capital ship missile on a little jetpack guy. It's a waste. In terms of resources per cost per torpedo and just energy, everything, it's just a waste. So that play against the Reaper is kind of odd. He's more effective if he's on the ground shooting. So if you have time for that, you can do that. You'll kill them way faster. Let's go to the factory and let's compare the Viking to the in land mode, and I say land mode because he's not going to attack anything on the ground when he's in air mode. The Diamondback will counter him very badly. He's Diamondback food the moment he lands because of how much slower he is and how much shorter his range is. And he can just take, it would only take, what, 4 Diamondback hits to kill a Viking, assuming he had full health to begin with. So 2 Diamondbacks will do 2 volleys to kill a Viking. And, you know, he'll want to probably take off to get out of there after he gets that first volley hit him. And hopefully he doesn't get hit again while he's trying to take off. So the Diamondback is a good unit against them. Now the Diamondback has no armor, but here's the beauty of it. The Diamondback is fast. So this thing is so slow when it comes to landing and taking off. So let's just say I'm going to make a Diamondback here. Get you out here. Let's make a Diamondback here, and I'll show what I'm talking about here rather than just talk about it. Got a Diamondback here, and so that, say the Diamondback is just doing his thing, and the Viking's like, ooh, I'm going to land there, and I want to do that. Well, the Diamondback sees him, and he's like, nah, I'll pass, bye, no thanks, I'm going to shoot you though. And so now he's like, come back, but he's too slow, so then he gets up into the air, and he's going to go fly after him, going to go land and be like a creep. And then the Diamondback sees him again, he's like, nope, bye, no thanks, pass, and just shoot him again. So this is what I mean when I say the Diamondback, unless the player is lazy or non-observant, that's the only way that a Viking is going to catch a Diamondback, is if the player is just not paying attention, and then he can just land right next to him and have plenty of time and then just gun him down like nothing. So that's that. Diamondback counters it. Sam does well against it when he's in the air, and obviously does nothing against it when he's on the ground, so there's that. Flame Tank does nothing against him. A Light Tank is kind of like a Diamondback in the weapon. The difference is that the minigun is doing 5 damage, and the Light Tank has 4 armor. So the minigun of the Viking is only doing 1 damage. Now, he's doing it fast, but he's only doing 1 damage each. So that is something to think about. The Light Tank is going to do 30 damage with his 1 shot every 6 seconds, so you can see this is kind of a break even in overall. If you average all the situations, I would say a Light Tank and a Viking on the ground are kind of a break even overall if you can get the Viking near the Light Tank. Otherwise, yeah, the Light Tank has the advantage. The Battle Tank will just blow the Viking up once it lands. I mean, just straight up. The Battle Tank does 40 damage or 50 versus structures. Let me get one out here so you can see one. He does 40 damage and 50 for structures with an attack speed of 3. So it would take 3, 6, 9 seconds to kill a Viking, and the Viking, like again, he's got 5 damage and the tank has got 4 armor. So, and not to mention the fact that the tank can just run into the Viking and do damage that way too. So I mean, there's also that extra little bonus when he's waiting for his second attack. Battle tanks would do pretty decent against. Also, he's got range 20, and the Viking's range is 11. And the tank can shoot while he's moving, so the Viking's like, come back. And the speed right here is 2, but the tank speed is 4. So the moment the Viking lands, he can get skirmished by the tank and die without any damage to the tank. So that's what I mean when I say overall a battle tank will beat a Viking on the ground. And of course when it's in the air it doesn't make any difference because one can't attack the other. Siege tank, same thing. Same thing as a battle tank when it's in tank mode. Same exact thing. Cyclone, obviously, you know, you've seen it in earlier videos. It's more of an anti-infantry. Rocket salvo, it's not going to do a whole lot to this Viking here. Now the Viking does have lighter armor because it is an aircraft. It doesn't have the kind of thickness as a tank armor because it's got to be able to take off and fly. It can't be too heavy, too bulky, so it does have lighter armor. It also is good for gameplay this way. Not a whole lot of aircraft have 2 armor. You know, most aircraft either have a lot or none. You know, they have either 0 or they're a capital ship and they have like 5 or more. So 2 is kind of a special number. It's kind of unique. There's not a lot of air units with 2 armor. Let's see here. We've got what else do we have in the factory here? Artillery, sure, if you can catch them. Rocket artillery, sure, if you can catch them with metal rain or something. Actually, no, watch this. So he's got 100 health. So, oh wait, you know what? That's not going to work because I can't do the attack anymore. The rocket artillery does 125 damage per rocket. So if one rocket hit the Viking, yes, the Viking would be dead. So from far away, you can use a rocket artillery. You would have to wait until the Viking is standing still and wasting his time shooting at something like this right here. This is the moment right here. And he is just very concentrated on. He's not doing very well. His minigun is meant for shredding lighter things. It's not like an auto turret Gatling gun, which has a higher pierce. It's just really high rate of fire. But once he's busy doing something, that is when you launch your rocket, because the rockets for rocket artillery are not guided. So there's that delay time from launch to target, and that delay time, he's got to be still to hit him. Now, if you hit him, it's a kill. If you don't hit him and he moves even just a little bit, it's not going to be a kill. You might do some damage, but it's not going to be a kill. So rocket artillery is kind of a counter from far away if you do it right. If you don't, it won't hit him. Walker, not going to be very well. Actually, when he's in air, the Walker should do okay. Do I have one out here? No, I don't. The Walker is just not as sexy looking as these other mechs. He's even excluded. Look at this on the menu. He's even excluded. He's kind of like, he's just it's a Starcraft 2 model, and rather than like a mech warrior model. So he's just kind of like a misfit. Don't get me wrong, I mean, he has a purpose. He does something that the others don't do with his flat gun. And his flat gun, here it is, 10 damage and 20 versus light with 25 range, is actually pretty decent. I mean, when the Viking is in the air, you know, he's only got 2 armor. Of course, then again, once he starts moving, he gets the air defense bonus, so then that 2 armor goes to 10. So it does make him immune to it. But when he stops to slow down, he can take some damage. For the most part, the Walker is not a great unit versus the Viking, so I'll just leave it at that. A Penguin, actually a Penguin could be pretty decent against one. His EMP missile, when he finally has them, could just instantly disable him. The best time obviously would be if he's standing still or going up or down in mode, and so you know the missile is going to hit. Also, the Penguin has his laser beams that are good enough to cut through him pretty quickly. So I don't have EMP researched. What is this nonsense? And yeah, as you can see, the value of this thing has already gone up in price since the last video. EMP is the mini EMP definitely
complete.
needed some work. So let me see if I can do this fast enough between the 2 units. Oh wow, look at that. Maybe I didn't do it fast enough, but basically the idea is, okay, I'm going to do this again. I'm going to see if he will. Okay, so yeah, landing, I may have not done it fast enough. He got disabled landing. It's raining again, for heaven's sake. But then his beams would just cut him up pretty quickly, either in the land or in the air. And he can catch him flying over. In fact, I'm going to let him repair. So the Penguin actually does have a chance of doing something against him. The Raptor is better against the Viking on the ground, for sure. His gun's outrange. Right here, his guns are range 11, 5 damage, and I got a Raptor right here. And then the Raptor's range is 11, but has some armor pierce, but thing is he has 3 armor. Oh, wait, wasn't his range supposed to be 12? I think it used to be 12, and then I put it back to 11. This is, hold on, I gotta make something out of this. Hold on. The Viking ground range is supposed to be 10. The reason is because that way it's forced to have to fight against an auto turret, and also it does give the Raptor the 1 range edge. The Raptor is a ground only unit, mech, and the Viking is multi-purpose. Obviously, you know, it costs more, but for the most part, the Raptor should be... When the Viking comes into the Raptor's wrath in his range circle, he should definitely die a lot faster. That 1 extra range does make a difference, believe it or not, especially with a weapon with such a high rate of fire. We're talking about 20 to 30 hit points lost before he could even start attacking. This is something that I haven't actually changed back yet. Also, considering right now he breaks even with the range of the Prisma Cannon, he should have to be a little bit less to defense structure like that. Also, so like I said, he can fight against... See, like right now, his minigun can actually outrange this Gatling gun here. That's not right. I've added one more thing to the notepad, but yeah, the Raptor would cost for cost beat the Viking on the ground, and it should, since that's what its domain. Well, the Viking's domain is kind of like everything. Same with the Harbinger. Harbinger is pretty much a similar story. He's got range 20. He doesn't even have to fight this guy. Not only that, he's got 3.5 speed, but the Viking's ground speed is 2. So what's the rule? If he's faster than the unit and he outranges the unit, he counters the unit. So this has kind of a similar effect as the Diamondback. Can somebody get that guy some supplies? I don't like the fact that he can't shoot anything right now. It makes me sad. What you just saw earlier with the Diamondback saying nope, pass, not gonna fight this close. The Harbinger can do the same thing if he wants. He can just run off and be like nope, and then I'm gonna turn around and shoot you, and then go be like nope, and then I'm gonna turn around and shoot you. Oops, see, he just did it right there in one hit. He's already 33% down. Meanwhile, this poor Viking is slowly trying to slug his way to this Harbinger. So the Harbinger is actually a pretty good counter to the Viking, whether it's in the ground or on the air. Harbinger, right there. For people who don't think the Harbinger is a very good mech, I just gave you another good reason to make one. If your enemy is going Viking spam, a Harbinger does well against them. Catapult, again, the missile thing, I haven't fixed that yet. The stats on the turn, I forgot to do that before this video. I really need to. I'm going to get that done today. The Goliath, okay, so the Goliath, there's obviously two aspects to this. If it's in the air, then yes, the Goliath definitely counters the Viking, because the Viking air does not attack the ground, but the ground Goliath does attack the air. So in the air, the Viking is definitely vulnerable to this missile. And I believe, and I'm going to test this out real quick. I forgot. This map does double damage. I can't. I was going to say, it's going to leave the Viking with very low health. Just one Viking missile. Two Viking missile attacks. Let me say that again. One Goliath attack that fires 2 missiles, is what I meant to say, should leave the Viking pretty damaged in the air. When he lands on the ground, if you were to just compare them ground to ground, autocannon, range 11, damage 12, with 0.75 rate of fire, minigun 5, range 11. So he does have the range advantage. He has the speed advantage of 3.25 and he can shoot while he's moving, so he can shoot while he's running away from the Viking. So the Goliath overall has the edge over the Viking, whether the Viking is on the ground or in the air. And the Goliath costs less than the Viking. So in a 1 versus 1 in this, the Goliath is going to win. The Viking just has more scale. It can be an air unit if it wants. It can get from one end to the other, the map when the Goliath can't. So this is why the Viking costs more than the Goliath. For those of you who thought, well, if the Goliath is just better than the Viking in a 1 versus 1 in every way, then why even make a Viking? Because a Viking can do island warfare. A Viking can get from one end to the map to another with no problem. A Viking can dump torpedoes onto a capital ship and make it back home and resupply, while the Goliath is a much lower amount of damage per second to a capital ship. So it's apples to oranges. They're very different units overall, but if you were to 1v1, the Goliath is definitely going to beat out the Viking per cost, and just even by skirmishing it. His autocannons here have more range than this minigun here, and the minigun is, like I say, 5 damage, Goliath armor, 4 armor. So he's only doing 1 damage to this Goliath every hit, but the Goliath is doing 12 damage. He's doing 10 damage to the Viking with every hit, and he can skirmish it, so I think that kind of settles that. Goliath versus Viking, got that. Wolf, the missile ability could catch The same as a catapult. The missile ability could catch the Viking when it's landing or taking off and instantly kill it. Otherwise, the Wolf's guns are just not... they're just not meant for taking out units. I mean, it could still do a lot of damage to them, but it's range 8, while the minigun here is range 11. And it's going to be 10 after the adjustment. But the Wolf is not a great unit against it. It's not helpless. So there's that. The Punisher is like a bigger Harbinger, and so since the Harbinger already counters the Viking, you know the Punisher does. I mean, the Punisher... Do I have one out here? No, I don't. Let me get one out here. Get a Punisher out here. The Punisher is, yes, the Mech Warrior Atlas, for those of you who are Mech Warrior fans. He has 6 armor, and the minigun only does 5 damage. Even with 1 upgrade, he's going to do no damage to the Punisher. So this is a hard counter right here, because the Viking can literally do nothing to him on the ground or in the air, and the Punisher has a range of 20 and does 2 40 damage attacks, 80. So he can nearly kill the Viking with 1 round, with 1 attack from range 20, while his ground attack is range 11, so it's half. I mean, he would die just getting shot at in the air and then trying to land, and he'd be dead on the ground. So the Punisher is a very hard counter versus the Viking, because like I say, a Punisher is like a very bigger version of the Harbinger. A Thor, similar kind of thing. The Thor has that missile ability that I showed you earlier, and which could one-shot it. And on the ground, the Thor has range 25 and will one-shot the Viking with 1 attack. So the Viking does not do well against the Punisher or against the Thor or against the Harbinger. And a Raptor will beat it, not as badly as these other ones, but it's pretty good. The Goliath also does well against it. The Wolf and the Walker don't do so well against the Viking. So there is that. So that's the Viking against the mechs. The Viking against other air units. The Banshee could get in with his guns. The Viking can do his shoot and move with his torpedoes. The Banshee would probably be able to dodge that pretty well. The Falcon is superior to the Viking in air-to-air because it has both guns and longer range missiles, and it can just dodge the Viking's missiles and just go to a distance and take another missile shot at him. The Wraith also counters the Viking. The Valkyrie is an interesting thing because, as you saw earlier, the Viking's torpedoes, he can do his shoot and move. The Viking, I'd have to test this one out, but I'm going to say that these two are actually pretty even. If you had 3 Vikings versus 2 Valkyrie, depending on how you micro it, I would think the Viking would win, because you could just almost one-shot those Valkyrie, and it'd be close. This is not a counter, so I'm not going to get much further into this. It's not a counter. They kind of cancel out. Firestorm Bomber does nothing to the Viking unless it's on the ground, which he can bomb him. Capital ships, let me put it this way. Almost every one of these ships, the Viking counters it, because it has torpedoes, which are anti-capital, and all these units here, it outranges the destroyer's guns. The Liberator does outrange the Viking missile, but he just doesn't have the damage per second, and you could probably dodge the Liberator's missiles. But those Vikings, like I say, you can make, for the cost of 1 Liberator, you can make 3 Vikings, and I know 3 Vikings will come in, dump all those torpedoes, kill that Liberator, and get out. Like, easy work of that Liberator, basically. Vikings also do very well against battlecruisers, and any kind of battlecruiser, really, because they outrange the battlecruiser, they outspeed the battlecruiser, and their weapons are anti-capital, the torpedoes. So Vikings are good anti-capital ships, and so that's that. Let's see here. That was Terran versus Viking. Let's see. Viking against... I think I already talked about Zerg, didn't I? With Spore Colonies and Seekers, didn't I? Yeah, I think I did. Yep. Even if I didn't, you're going to have to figure it out because I'm moving on. I mean, no, I didn't actually. You keep a spore crawler somewhere in the area so it can't land or take off without the danger of getting blown up in the delay time. Seeker Nest also outranges or does a pretty good job of discouraging him from landing anywhere in that circle, because if it's much faster rate of fire, he will take some hits from it. On the ground, a sunken colony will actually stop him, because the sunken colony's range is 16, and the Viking's ground range is going to be 10, even though it says 11 right there. So a sunken colony outranges it, and also once he sticks it, the sunken colony's damage is 100, and he has 100 health. Let me make one sunken colony to see. I just want to see if it... I believe it instantly kills it, but I just want to double check. Oh, he doesn't instantly kill it. Okay, he leaves it because of the armor. Yeah, okay. But let's face it, that's basically death, because now he's going to try and start shooting at this thing. So sunken colonies keep them from landing. Can somebody repair this guy, or do I got to make a new one? So the sunken colony is a form of defense. Scourge actually can take him out in the air well, because his missile is only going to hit one of those Scourge. It's just basically only going to hit one Scourge. And the other Scourge are going to get by. It only takes one Scourge to blow up a Viking. So if you make 4 Scourge for the 100 gas, you see right, where is it? Right here, 100 gas, 25 mineral. Those first 1 or 2 Scourge are going to die, but the other 1 or 2 are going to get through and kill him. So Scourge are actually a good counter once he gets into the air. Brutalisk is also a very good counter against the Viking, because they're almost the same cost. The Viking costs a little less than a Brutalisk, but the Brutalisk's ability does 250 damage at range 25 at any ground or air target. That has got anti-Viking written all over, because the Viking can't hurt him when he's in the air, and when he tries to land on the ground, it's just the right time to use the ability. So a Brutalisk is a very hard counter to the Viking. And when he's in the air, just the Brutalisk's regular attack is still good against it. So there's that. And even if they were to just attack, the Brutalisk doesn't need to attack with his claws. But even if you did claws versus guns, the Brutalisk is still going to do well, because of its much larger amount of hit points, 750 hit points. So the Brutalisk does well against the Viking. I'll leave it at that. Let's see what else here. The Viking on the ground usually shreds all this lighter stuff. It shreds Mutalisks, usually pretty fast. Yeah, one random Defiler Plague really hurts them. You can always bomb them, of course, with a Swarm Bomber. Corruptors beat Vikings in the air, for sure. Not saying that the Viking might kill one of the Corruptors, but 2 Corruptors can work a Viking in the air, no problem, and they're still a lot less cost. You have a Corruptor here, 75 gas, 50 mineral. Okay, so 2 Corruptors would be 150 gas, 100 mineral. And then a Viking is 150 gas, 500 mineral. So like I said, you'd almost get 3 Corruptors for the price of 1 Viking. They could all just one-shot that Viking. He'd be forced to have to go to the ground. He could not stay in the air. And then, I mean, the moment he takes off, he's dead. So Corruptors, obviously, if it's in the air, Corruptors and Phoenix are going to own it for cost. For like if it's a smaller aircraft. So there's that. Spindles, which I can't make because of the stupid bug for the model scale being too big. And that's really strange that it does that too. In fact, I almost want to make another one just to see it again, to believe it for myself. Why was the scale so dang big? Just, it doesn't make any sense. Dang it! That bugs me. I'm gonna have to see. That's one other thing I'm gonna have to fix when I'm done with this. Let me write that down too. I don't know why it's just doing it on this test map too, because in game it works fine. But the test map, for whatever reason, this test map, it just doesn't want to work. Against the Spindle, actually, the Viking actually is pretty effective in the air because of the torpedoes. And because the Spindle's attack is more meant for killing lots of little units with all its little spines and dumping acid on buildings, it's not very good against something like a Viking that outranges it quite a bit and can just skirmish it. So a Spindle is actually countered by a Viking. A Broodlord versus a Viking. The Viking missiles do a lot of damage to the Broodlord, and he does have a slight range advantage over the Broodlord attack range. So a Viking also does well against, like I said, if it's a capital ship or if it's a big air unit, the Viking does usually well against them. So there is that. Let's go to Protoss. Scout, same as the Falcon, will be better overall against the Viking for sure because of the missiles and guns. Phoenix will dominate a Viking in the air. Now if it lands, the Phoenix got to go away. Corsair can cloak, but a Corsair actually would do alright because it can cloak and it's got 4 armor, so even if the Viking lands, it won't even get through the Corsair's armor. The torpedoes, though, in the air will one-shot a Corsair, so the Corsair, its damage gets through 5 or 15 versus light, and then if I put him in the air, you can see that his armor is only 2. So he does get some damage through. He'd have to use cloak and some micro to get the Viking in the air without any kind of damage. If you just mindlessly attack, though, then the Viking is probably going to kill some of the Corsairs. But for cost, though, yeah, you could buy many Corsairs for the price of one Viking. So you could say the Corsair is also a counter to the Viking. The Tempest is a bomber. It'll kill the Viking pretty quickly on the ground, assuming he doesn't allow the Viking to get too close. And then of course in the air, the Viking has kind of the edge because it can shoot it and the Tempest can't, but the shields block most of the damage, so kind of wasted missiles on it like that. You can use Viking to kill Void Rays. If they don't have any anti-missiles around, it's actually really easy to do. If they do, it's a little harder. So there's that. You can use Vikings to go in and try to bomb a carrier quickly before it gets all of its interceptors to rip it to pieces, which actually is not so hard to do. And the reason I say that is because carriers, a lot of times when people make carriers, they kind of forget about the carrier. They're just making the interceptors and they're focused on what the interceptors are doing. And when their interceptors are attacked, they get the message that you're under attack. So you start to ignore that, but hey, one of those messages may have been your carrier. Little does he realize that his carrier is getting bombed by a bunch of Vikings. So if he's not got his carrier around a bunch of anti-missiles, you could kill carrier pretty quick with Vikings. Arbiters, Vikings don't do well against them because of their anti-missile, their missile slowing field. A Warbird, a Viking would do very well against because it outranges him, and he's got an anti-capital torpedo for the Warbird. So there's that. Also, the Vikings do well against motherships. If you had one mothership and then you built like a squad full of Vikings, I mean, despite the fact that the mothership does have a lot of shields and health to get through, those Vikings are just going to unload a lot of damage before they go and reload and then come back and do it again. So if I had a mothership, I would be very disturbed by seeing like 6 Vikings just flying around out there. Like, I'm like, well, I made this great powerful ship and it's just going to get torpedoed. This is why you have to make other units other than just one unit. You're going to have to make scouts or something else, or Phoenix or something, to go out and deal with the Vikings so your mothership can live. So yes, Vikings are in quantity a good counter against a mothership. Let's see here. Vikings also counter Colossus very well because their torpedoes do a lot of damage to the Colossus, and the Colossus can't shoot back. You'd be an idiot to land the Viking within the range of the Colossus, but keep them in the air. The Immortal obviously has the edge over the Viking when the Viking's in the air. When it's on the ground, it reverses and the Viking has the edge over the Immortal. So it all depends on who's where. The Dragoon will generally kill the Viking just on sight. The Dragoon is actually a good counter against a Viking because ground or air, the Dragoon is just, you can at least have 2 Dragoons for the same cost. And each one of them are doing like 50 damage per shot. So, I mean, 2 Dragoons can one-shot a Viking, and at range 15 without upgrade, or 20 with upgrade. So, a Dragoon is a pretty good counter against the Viking. What else do we have here? You can storm a Viking actually really well before the Viking can actually do any damage to the Templar. So a Templar is a good defense against the Viking. I don't recommend hunters because they will die quickly. If it all depends. If you catch the hunter if you catch the Viking from behind, then yeah, I could see how hunters could quickly kill a Viking, but you're probably not going to. And the Viking will just it has more range over the hunter by +1. A hunter's range is 9, and the Viking's range is 10. It's going to be. So it has more range than the hunter, and its minigun will just shred those hunters like just real fast. So you'd have to catch them at an awkward angle. Dark Templars could catch a Viking while it's on the ground off guard. That happens. That's known to happen. The Halberds, once they've got those armor upgrades, the Vikings can't do any damage to them. But because the Vikings outrun the Halberds and can take off, it's kind of like one can't really hurt the other relationship. Vindicators get shredded by a Viking on the ground. Zealots, if I remember right, it takes a lot of Zealots to eventually make it alive to the Viking on the ground. So you got to have a lot to try to kill it with Zealots. It's usually a waste to use Zealots like that. Archers don't do enough damage in time to do anything to a Viking on the ground before it kills them. So that is the Viking. Try to be thorough about that. Whew, man, I'm getting tired here. I am getting tired. Oh shoot, I accidentally blew up my starport. Yeah, my bad. Make another one. Get out of the way, civilians. I'm gonna have to commit war crimes. Yeah, when Terran buildings die, little civilians are left in the rubble. Because, you know, I'm sure there's civilians that survived the explosion. Surely. Okay, so the next units, we're going to talk about dropships and heavy dropships. We're almost there. Man, it's just, I don't know, you think all this video, believe me, do you see why now when new players come in, this is not something I can just, like, in 2 minutes tell them everything about the game. You know, there's so much to each unit, how you use them, everything. But as you can see from what you've seen so far, every unit has a weakness and a strength. Even the ones that are bugged right now, and actually like the Punisher and how it's being overpowered, they still have weaknesses and strengths. So I mean, even when they're bugged, they still do. But yeah, so anyway, I'm going to make a dropship, and I'm going to make a heavy transport. I'm going to talk about the different use of either of these. I'm going to keep him out of sight because he blocks the view. So your dropship, you do have 2 upgrade options with the dropship. I have not talked about upgrade options much, have I? Well, oh well. So for the dropship, you can either, for 200 mineral, you can either add +2 armor to it, so it's better at taking small arms fire, or you can make it drop units twice as fast. You can only have one or the other. You can't have both. So it depends on how you want to play it and what you plan on doing. I generally, in most situations, I will just say drop faster. You know, that +2 armor, though, it does make a difference. It puts its armor from 3 to 5. And that's noteworthy because that means now Hydralisks will not attack them. So if you saw like a bunch of Hydralisks, you might want to do an armor upgrade and then drop like a bunch of Firebats right in the middle of a group of Hydralisks to just instantly cook them and drop some Marauders in there too. Poor Marines, if you were to drop just Marines in a giant pit full of Hydralisks. But my point is, though, if you get the armor upgrade, now it won't take any damage from those Hydralisks. That extra 2 armor is very magical. It eliminates a lot of the units out there that can cause it damage. So that +2 is important. But for the most part, let's face it, a dropship is used for what? For dropping units. And it's better, it takes a lot less time than more time to do it. So that's why I say I usually use the speed. It doubles the drop speed. That's just my own preference, but like I said, there is a reason to go armor instead of speed. So there is that. The dropship, it can basically, it's designed so that, man, heavy transport, your shadow is bugging. Go, make your shadow go somewhere else. You have to sit him in the corner too. No one likes you, heavy transport. So the dropship basically has enough space to fit a whole unit of Marines and 1 SCV. I'm not done with the dropship. The way I want the dropship to be when it's finally done is that it will carry like 1 tank underneath it. I want to see the tank stowed underneath the dropship, or 1 mech. 1 tank or 1 mech plus then infantry. That's the way I want it to be. I can't get it like that yet. Right now it's awkward. You just fit vehicles in there with infantry, and it's awkward. It's not, the dropship is not done. Okay, the dropship is going to be able to stow 1 vehicle underneath it, and it will not be able, can you pick, you better not be able to, dang it. Okay, that's another issue. Look how much space he has left too, that's ridiculous. The thing is literally as big as the dropship, and he's just going to stow 3 of them in there, so no, I'm going to have to change that too. I'm okay with it storing smaller mechs right now. I'm okay with that. But it's for like a Thor. No, you can't do a Thor. You better not do a Thor. If you do a Thor, I'm going to be saying, do not pick up that Thor. Good. Okay. Pretty good. I just haven't fixed the Punisher yet. I'm going to write that down too. It's just too big for that dropship. Oh, but that's the problem then. If it's too big for the dropship, then it's also too big for the heavy transport. See how, do you see the frustration here? Thank you, Blizzard, for putting the cargo size, cargo space, and you can't. Those are the 2 things you have to work with. Okay, so I'm going to put him down right over here. I'll talk about him in a second. So anyway, the dropship, yes, it carries a whole group of Marines. More space for an SCV. Let's get in there. Can you fit? Oh no, you can't. That's right. You got to choose which infantry unit is left behind. The lucky one, actually. This is the stay on. And like I said in the past video, when you're dropping into an area where there is anti-air, you do not just say unload and then click. Okay, you can do that the lazy way if you're dropping to an area where there's no enemies around. If you're dropping into an area where there are probably things shooting at you, then what you need to do is you need to see I'm queuing up a bunch of movement back and forth. Queue up a bunch of movement and start individually dropping them, letting them parachute out basically. And there we go. Queue up some more moves and stuff going on. So you see what I just did here? I've just dropped, and he's still dropping. That's a good pattern right there too, is the circle pattern. It's better at doing pieces. So I've dropped him over the area, and he's more likely to survive, and now he can go home and get some more. Okay, and the Marines are obviously more spread out, but that's just the cost of being shot at while you're trying to drop. It's lazy to just tell them to unload to an area. You almost deserve to die. Especially considering the fact that so many units in this mod have ranges of 80 to 100. There's no reason, no excuse. So, okay, there is the dropship. Spore crawlers are kind of a deterrent for them to try to stop and unload. Seeker nests also add pressure. Even to do what I just did, you wouldn't even want to do that because you're getting shot at by a faster projectile. So seeker nests are a good way of keeping drops from happening within that circle. Now, I mean, he can drop out here, totally safe. So there is that. Corruptors obviously can take down dropships pretty fast. Scourge takes 2 Scourge to kill one. One will leave it very badly damaged, so it's slowed, and 2 will finish it off. So yeah, there's Scourge. For Terrans, flak turrets do a decent job of covering the area. The missile turret obviously is better. It does more damage and it covers more area. So if you had 2 missile turrets, you can pretty much keep a good part of the map drop free. So the Terran would have to destroy at least one or preferably both of the missile turrets somehow, some way before trying to drop. Also air units like Wraiths, Scouts, Falcons in the area will just make, you might have to just make several drop ships and just factor in that one of them is going to die before the rest of them are able to drop. Now the dropship combined with heavy infantry is very powerful. See, light infantry are faster. You're like, that's fast. Well, I mean, they can stem. Get going, bud. Just run past your buddies. Outshine them. Look at him. He's on drugs. He's happy to be on drugs. Look at these slackers back here. Them and their no. Oh, get money, dude. He's got drugs and he's got 400 mineral. He's loaded. That guy is set for life. Okay. And they're all just gonna leave him now. You just stand out here with your fortune. All right. Infantry. See, all these Marines are moving at 1.25 speed, but let's get some heavy infantry out here so you can see what I'm talking about. Heavy infantry are better at assault. They can take a lot more punishment, but they are move speed 1. Them and roaches are like the slowest units in the game, not counting lurkers who are digging and moving as they are burrowed. That's the slowest unit in the game, I believe. But they are about the slowest unit in the game. So their weakness is speed, right? Well, it's real simple. You get a drop ship, you load them in, move drop ship speed. Okay, let's unload them because I need to show the speed here. And I really need that upgrade. Let's get that thing because I don't want to have to sit here forever.
Upgrade
and you're
complete.
already done. That figures. Dropship armor is 3. Well, I didn't show you. 3 armor. You can upgrade it if you want. But its move speed is 10. So by putting these guys in dropship, you're effectively making a group of. Let's get one more in there because I just don't. This is usually the type of cargo that comes over. Marine, what are you doing? He's gonna get like instantly fried by the fire bat that drops. When you mix Marines with fire bats, you're dooming your Marines to get fried. So he's mostly full now. You can fit like 2 SCVs in there. It's like 1 SCV. Okay. This is actually a pretty common loadout that I like to use. Is the 4 fire bat, 8 marauder, 1 SCV because the SCV can repair their suits, and you get a full set right here. What you have is the slowest unit in the game that's really good at assault. And it's weak because it doesn't have speed. When you put them in dropships, it's very deadly. I mean, 8 Marauders just pounding away at some target with their bolt gun. I mean, they really cut up things fast. And a lot of the times when playing against people, the AI not so much. When playing against people, they do not defend their bases. You could literally just make 2 or 3 dropships, load them up with a couple fire bats and a bunch of Marauders, and just send them off to every single expansion, reckless expansion, where they didn't make any defense. Unload them, kill everything, load back up, go back home, or go to the next base, just like that. You would be surprised how effective dropships with heavy infantry are, especially against humans. The AI actually is known to do this at times, and until the AI beats you up with this tactic, you'll start to see what I mean when I say you need defense, you need some way of shooting this dropship down before it can drop or land. And when you load them up with slow, heavy infantry, it's a really great combination. So this right here, it's really strong. It's kind of like a miniature version of the Roach-Nidus Canal combination. Again, what you're doing is you're enhancing the only weakness that Marauders and Firebats have. Well, that Marauders have is mostly just their speed. Now, if you had a Marauder, I'm just think about this, just for entertainment purposes. if you have wrong one. If you have a Marauder right here, okay, 2 armor, 15 hit points, 5 damage at 0.2, and it costs, and each one is worth, was that 25 divided by 4, so 6 gas and 12 mineral. A 6 gas, 12 mineral unit who's piercing most armor, even tank armor, okay, at a good amount of damage per second. And he starts off with 2 armor right off the bat, which is usually pretty good against most units in general. Let's not even factor in upgrades. His only weakness really is his speed. I mean, his one speed is what's holding him back from everything. So the moment you get rid of that weakness and put him in dropships, it's very strong. So then now it becomes a game of trying to kill off his anti-air to be able to drop into areas. So now your only real problem is just how do you kill like those missile turrets, or how do you kill that wraith or whatever. But so yeah, that's a dropship. Photon cannons, like I say, they do well. Range 20, they do well at keeping units from dropping in that area, because it only takes 2 photons. I'm sorry, 3. Well, no, 2 photons to kill the dropship, not instantly. The third photon to kill it instantly. So meaning that second photon will leave it damaged critically, so that it will crash. So that's all it takes, is 2 photons to keep a dropship out. So there is that. An Immortal also is hell for dropships. Big time. I mean, its guns range 25, which is even more than a photon cannon. And its damage per second is well, it's not as high, but the fact that it doesn't miss its instant hit is kind of a big deal. Plus its missiles range 100. So, I mean, you keep enough Immortals on the map, and he's just not going to want to drop until those Immortals are dead, which is, it's easier said than done. Immortals are one of the hardest units to kill, because they have a hardened shield and they have 5 armor. I mean, their name is Immortal. Okay, they are a very hard unit to kill, and they're very strong anti-air. So, they are a pain in the butt. They would discourage most players from trying to get rid of them so they can drop. So, making an Immortal, some people don't ever make them. That's sad. They're just, in my opinion, the Immortal right now is underpriced. It's probably needing to be at least 400 to 100, at least. Right now, because, I mean, it has a similar kind of value as a Reaver, but for the air. Right now, I do think that it's still a little underpriced. Maybe I'll get to that later, but anyway. This is the dropship. It's the drop game. You can also use the dropship for, like, let me load these guys here with now the upgraded speed, so you can see how much faster. See how faster it goes. It's twice as fast now. That upgrade. You own that city. Another way of using a dropship. Always cloak the ghost before you send him off, please. Can you imagine dropping a ghost in the middle of an enemy city with no cloak on? Yep, a lot of people do it. Is you don't just tell him to drop, because you're going to drop real near a city. What you do is while you're flying, you drop, well, that's not a good idea because you're biology protection. But you see what I'm saying. I manually dropped him like I did those Marines earlier, and this saves a lot of time getting this operative where you need him to be. You can be lazy and run him across the map from your base to their base and drain all that cloak energy, just have him wasting it, running all the way. Or you can put him in a dropship and cut a lot of the distance off, and even better, get him somewhere, drop somewhere behind the lines where they don't expect anything. Get them through the doorway, everything. You just go behind the lines and drop them off the tree line before they're behind their city, and boom. So dropships are also very good at being used with ghosts and specters to get them to where you need them to be faster. Dropships also have one other use. See, there's their energy here is supply. They can. I need to find a unit to run some ammo here. Someone's gonna die. Alright, we're gonna start killing some of these mobs. I need you. Okay, so his energy now is down to 50. The dropship is going to come out here and resupply him. Just like that, he's already being resupplied. Now it's coming out of the dropship's energy, Okay, so you can resupply units in the field. He's resupplied. He's got half his supplies now. He can go home while the other unit is fighting. You can just send him home to a supply depot and now pick up more supplies. So this is how a way you can ferry supplies to units like Thors, destroyers are probably the two most common needed units, or groups of marauders maybe if they're out there and they're running low. Another thing that oh, I have not even finished the capture. Oh no, maybe I have. I think I did. Yeah, dropships can capture capital ships. This is new. I've never actually used it in a game. It's probably ridiculously overpowered and stupid. In fact, it already sounds like it now that I talk about it. Because this one dropship, basically, if you select a capital ship you want to capture, like a battlecruiser. Oh, no. I think the battlecruiser has to be half health. Yeah, there's a condition where the battlecruiser has to be half health. You can't just take a fully brand new battlecruiser and just one dropship comes in and boards in and takes it. No, the battlecruiser has to be damaged, and then you can capture a battlecruiser with a dropship, just like a marine leader captures a building. So that's new. I've never used that in a game before. I got to change the button on that too. The other thing it can do is it can drop resources for teammates. This is probably what they're used for. More than anything else that I talk about now is the one thing I'm barely talking about now. You can now, if you want to drop resources, you have to do it with a dropship or a warp prism or an overlord. You can't just go up to a menu here and say, I want to send resources. The guy clicked, done, he's got it. No, you actually have to find a way to get your dropship over there and drop the resources for him to pick up. It comes out of your money and then it goes to him, and he's got to pick it up. This is so that you can't trade resources early on to do ridiculous rushes. So now you have to wait at least until dropships are available to trade, or sorry, to give resources. And another way of doing it, just while I'm on the subject, is through an orbital. You can actually send resources through here. It costs more though, it costs extra gas. So you don't have to use a dropship, but it does cost an extra 25 gas to either drop a pallet of 400 middle, or 25 gas to drop a pallet of 100 gas. So there is more of a price doing it through an orbital, but sometimes you just don't have time for it, that sort of thing. So yeah, I'm gonna go get my stuff back. Alright. That is the dropship. I think I've spent enough time on it. It's fine. Why does it have an attack? I think I need to get rid of the dropship as attack. Now watch, I'm going to break the whole game by getting rid of its attack. Yep, I'm gonna break the whole game. It's just gonna shatter because I just didn't like that attack button on its console. So, anyway. Okay, so the other kind of transport that the Terrans have is, gosh, I haven't got the capital ships yet. For heaven's sake, I'm dying here. At least my dog is taking a nap rather than bugging me, so that helps. It's hard enough doing this, but then also doing this while we got a set of eyes just looking at me like, when are we going to get more food? Even though he's got plenty of food. Okay. Heavy transport. This one right here. It costs about 3 times as much as a dropship. And what is the differences? Well, first of all, you have to land it and take it off. So that is one noticeable difference right off the bat. It is 1,000 hit points. Okay? The dropship is 120 hit points. So even though it's 3 times as much the cost, it's 10 times as much basically hit points. It also has 5 armor right off the bat. The upgrades also do more than +1. I think they're +2 at least. They're more though. So with armor upgrades, it's very sturdy. It's going to take a lot of damage from like small arms, that kind of thing, and it can take a lot of missiles too. It's very sturdy. Its cargo capacity is well, let's test it, right? Let's test it with marine units, or we can do heavy infantry too, since they count as 2. So I'm going to land him here. You can only load or unload units when it's landed. You can't. And So we're gonna put, let's see, let's count this. I want to count before I send them in so I know the exact amount. We're at 72. Looks like some guys died, didn't they? 97. We're gonna put 97 in it first, and we're gonna see if we can fit more. It might be 96. Yep, that's what I thought. Here's the last one. He's probably the last one from last time too, the lucky one. You can fit 96 Marines in a heavy transport. So that's basically 4 times the capacity of a dropship. So basically, okay, so you lift off now. I'm trying to think, is there a way? Okay, good, yeah. I was gonna say, there used to be a way where you can just click on the button and then it would drop, and it's so stupid, and I had to fix that all up. So now you have to land. So let's say you want to land here, and he's just taking hits, and he can take a lot of hits. He's fine. And he's going to land down here. And give him a couple seconds to open the doors, and then now, boom, they can all go running out of that heavy transport right down the ramp. Don't got to drop down any shift down some rope or no parachute or nothing, just right out the ramp. And so they get to moving at it. Now, the dropship can carry 1,000 supplies. It also does the same kind of supply ability as a dropship. Sorry, a heavy dropship does the same thing, only with 1,000 rather than 200. So this thing can actually act as a huge resource hub for something going on in the area. You can just land him here, and then you can get all your ammo now from him. Another thing is, it's a resource hub. You could actually land a heavy transport and use it as a command center, as a base, to collect resources from an expansion. So you could actually fill him up with some military units, but also like maybe a dozen SCVs, go out, land him, and then mine a certain expansion. Maybe it's too risky to build a command center there. That's okay. Just go out there with some SCVs and a little bit of defense, and just have them mine. And in fact, let me demonstrate this so you can see for yourself. Seeing is believing, right? We're going to... all you guys get out of the way. You are in the drop zone here. Get out of the way. Alright. We're going to land this guy right next to this mineral. And it should be closer than the command center is, so they should actually want to return the resources to the dropship. We're going to see if it does it though. Yep, okay. So as you can see, you can return resources now to the heavy transport. So it has other function other than just carrying a lot more guys with armor. One of the things you need to be aware of is the size. All large ships in the air are always visible. Meaning right now, everyone on the map can see this big sucker. These players over here, they can see this sucker. So it's not a sneaky unit. It's like, here I come kind of unit. It's not stealthy at all. And it's not ever trying to be, it's not wanting to be. It's big, it's armored, and it's just going to dump a little army on a city. I have captured a number of Terran cities with Marines and a heavy transport, and they have like not that much defense, and I just like land on the thing and just unload 96 Marines, and boom, they've just captured the whole town. And it's kind of like a Nidus canal for the Terrans, but it flies. So that's the heavy transport. There are a number of units you should be aware of that are a very big danger to the heavy transport. A cannon tower is one of them for the Terrans, because it does 400 damage at 100 range and can hit air units. So the heavy transport can only take 3 attacks from a cannon tower. And that cannon tower can keep hitting that heavy transport, whether it's on the ground or in the air. So if you're going to keep persisting and trying to land, it's going to die soon. It's going to die after the 3rd attack. So a cannon tower is a good stay out of the area, heavy transport kind of unit. A Monolith for Protoss is also, it's also got 100 range. I haven't talked about it yet. I'm not going to get into it right now. It shoots a big old laser beam at 100 range. It's kind of like a obelisk of light from Command and Conquer. It also is a giant FU to a large unit. It does 750 damage for that laser beam per hit, and it costs them 100 mineral to shoot it, but it's worth it because it can hit a heavy or destroy a heavy transport into attacks. So that is the heavy transport. Spore crawlers do well. They do a lot of damage, 230 per attack every spore. So I mean, it takes what, 4 to 5 attacks basically to bring down a heavy transport. So spore crawlers also are a deterrent. Just a group of Scourge will do it. You need 10 Scourge to take him out. Make a dozen Scourge and just throw them at the heavy transport. You can see him coming. He's big and he's visible, so that is another way to counter the heavy transport. But not everybody makes Scourge. Not even everybody makes Spires. So, like I said, it's up to you to decide whether you should use a heavy transport or not. But if your opponent has a bunch of spore crawlers, if they've got a Spire, you know, if you know they're experienced enough to make Scourge, don't make a heavy transport. You're wasting resources. You're dooming all those Marines to a crash landing. So, yeah. So every race, they've got a way of dealing with the heavy transport. It's not like some all-powerful drop unit. It's just kind of like, it's a less stealthy, more assault way of dropping a large force onto an area. Sometimes, I mean, I generally will use just dropships because I like their speed, and because you can also drop them in a hot area. Also, I'll use Spectres and Ghosts quite a bit, and you're not, I mean, can you imagine a Spectre or a Ghost just chilling on a heavy transport all by himself, just waiting to be dropped off somewhere? And they can't even drop him while it's moving. They gotta like land, you know. They gotta. And they, obviously, they're gonna know a Ghost or Spectre landed because the doors open and nobody comes out, and then they take off. Of course, something cloaked got off the ship. You know what I mean? I mean, there goes your surprise. You know, there's a Ghost or Spectre in the area. Might as well just comm scan them now. Pummel them with a couple tanks. So a dropship is more catered to smaller drop teams, obviously, and also like Spectres and Ghosts. So I usually use just dropships, but there is a reason to use a heavy transport. So it's not like some totally useless unit. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. Okay, the Valkyrie is a important unit, especially when dealing with Zerg. And the reason is because Zerg have all of their overlords up in the air. And the Valkyrie is a missile boat. Its range is 65 and it fires a salvo. In fact, let me get a... Actually, we'll just use these 4 souls here. I'm going to get him closer on the screen so you can see him shoot while he does it. Oh, do you not want to fire at allied units? Is that what it is? Okay. Alright. Get all you guys out of the way. We'll get you some mutalisks to shoot at.
Your forces are under attack.
Right here. Oh, another unit coming out too. You guys are no fun. Guys. All messing up the best. As you know, sport power really so as you can see, the Valkyrie has got different wall structures of units. It just fires a solver. A Valkyrie, although its anti-light missiles are most catered to like groups of mutalisks. If your opponent is Starfall, if your opponent is making a bunch of mutalisks, if your opponent is Starfall, there's a guy named Starfall, and he just loves to make nothing but mutalisks. And so every time, if I'm playing against him, I just make one Valkyrie, and it's amazing how much punishment he will take. And he will not change or make any other unit. He won't make corruptors to counter him, nothing. He just makes more mutalisks. And Valkyries destroy Mutalisks. It's a classic Starcraft 1 counter. It's still alive in this mod. And so, if all you see is an opponent who makes nothing but Mutalisks, just make one Valkyrie. It's a great investment. It will literally it will pay for itself. Look, your kill count is going to go up very fast. And even when he's out of Mutalisks, you can still use it to hunt Overlords. It's a good investment when you're playing against Zerg, especially if you know that he's got a Spire. He also, his salvo is enough to take out one Guardian. He's also, now it takes a while, let me get a Broodlord going here. So you can see, oh, that's right, I forgot, he can't attack. The missile salvo won't attack allied units. The missiles seek after enemy units. So when you try and attack a friendly unit, it won't attack at all. What I was going to get at is, it takes a while. 8 damage, 14 attacks, 80. So it's about 100 damage for the whole attack for non-light units. A Broodlord has 1,000 hit points starting off, so it does take about 10% of his health with every single salvo. But because his range is 65 and the Broodlord's attack range is 50 for his little broodlings, you outrange it, you know the rule, and you also, you're faster than it. The Broodlord is, it's not 10. So the Valkyrie, it outspeeds it by a little bit and it outranges it by a little bit. So it can wear down Broodlords over time. It's not as ballsy as like making a Falcon and going in and just shredding it with his guns and then dying in a blaze of glory. That's doing it by the Falcon way. Doing it this way, you usually keep your unit alive. So it's generally a better counter. So yeah, even against Broodlords, don't waste your missiles on the Broodlings. It's totally a waste. The Broodlings are free. The Broodlings only cost energy for the Broodlord. They don't cost them any resources. So if you're using missiles on the Broodlings, you're giving resources to your opponent. It's a waste. For Zerg, since this is an air-to-air unit only, I'm only going to talk about the air units. There's really no point talking about the land units. And obviously a Brutalist, though, is a threat to a Valkyrie. A Spore Crawler is a threat. A Seeker Nest is a threat. Scourge actually can bum rush a Valkyrie pretty well. I mean, granted, some of his missiles might kill some of them, but I mean, his health right here means you need 5 Scourge to hit him, or to kill him. If you make a dozen Scourge and you just bum rush the Valkyrie, you'll probably kill it. So Scourge are kind of a threat. Also, his missiles do not kill the Scourge fast enough. I mean, you can kill a bunch of unsuspecting Scourge from a distance, but if they see the Valkyrie and they're moving towards him, he's gonna die. So Scourge are actually pretty decent against the Valkyrie if he's out there by himself, and it does happen a lot. The Valkyrie is known to being all over the map, shooting at air units from all over parts of the map, parts where nobody is around, just open forest areas, nobody controls either side. Ooh, money. You know, so you're not always going to have just a group of Marines to chill around, so that's why I say the Scourge are not a bad idea against Valkyrie. Also, they don't turn so fast either. It's a missile boat. It's not a fighter. It's a missile boat. It's up here. It's smaller than a Corvette, but it's larger than a fighter, and it just fires off a salvo of missiles. But it doesn't turn that fast, so it doesn't turn fast, and then it's got to get its missiles starting to shoot. So I mean, if you were to get, especially at nighttime, it doesn't have any vision. Let me show you this too. People are going to say, why is it that the Void Ray and the Valkyrie are blind as bats? The reason is because it makes them look at he has no vision at nighttime. I mean, that looks pretty bad because of his size. But what this basically means is he depends on something else to spot his targets. It's the same with the Void Ray. The Void Ray is a giant cannon up in orbit. Okay, it's not reconnaissance, it's a siege unit. The Valkyrie is not a reconnaissance unit. That's not its mission purpose. The Valkyrie is a support unit. It fires salvos of missiles at air targets, and that's what it does. It does not spot targets. If every unit did everything, then you wouldn't need to make different units. So when you combine a Valkyrie with a Wraith, for example, which is good at spotting targets, or even if you just use ComScan real quick, what you're doing is you're using combination attacks, and it makes for better gameplay. That is why some of these air units are blind as bats, okay? Because they just don't have, they're not a scouting unit. Okay, Valkyrie is not a scouting unit. That's why it doesn't have much vision. Get over it. Now, I can understand maybe increasing the vision a little bit, but why though? What would be the purpose? Its range is 65. So if its vision isn't 65, it doesn't matter whether its vision is 5, 10, 15. It doesn't make any difference. Really, I mean, it's meant to be attacking targets from far away. Why does it need to have a lot of vision by itself? You know, if it's really meant to be attacking units far away. So the Valkyrie, its vision is what it is. Just deal with it. I'm getting impatient here. I just want to move on. And I'm just thinking about all the people that are complaining about, you know, why is it my Void Ray is blind as a bat? Just deal with it. Just deal with it. Because it is. So the Valkyrie, it's also good at taking out Guardians, Overlord hunting, most things in the air. Scourge, though, can bum rush them. Corruptors are a counter to a Valkyrie. The Corruptors can just get in and start pummeling that Valkyrie, very, very sadly. And the Valkyrie is kind of helpless when that starts to happen. You'll see him, he'll try to fire his missiles. The Corruptors can dodge the missiles, keep shooting. I mean, it's really bad when you see how Valkyrie, even though they're good at killing air units, they do struggle against Corruptors. Especially at nighttime, as I just demonstrated why. See, people want to ask why is the Valkyrie have such a limited sight? Fly it around at nighttime in Corruptor territory and see what happens. It gives the Corruptor one more edge, especially at nighttime, over the Valkyrie, which is needed, because like I said, the only other really counter for Zerg in the air is Scourge. So, I mean, there'd be no counter against it if he just surrounds himself by Marines, just stays in a base under a bunch of Marines and just shoots missiles all the time. You know, the Scourge wouldn't be an option anymore, so you'd have to use something like Corruptors or something else like that. And the Corruptors, he can be out around here. Let me get my Corruptor out here. Corruptor, where are you? It's nighttime. I can't see you. There you are. Corruptor range right here is 22. So you could, because Corruptor has vision and Valkyrie does not, at nighttime it allows the Corruptor an opportunity to start firing spores at this guy. Get in range here, right about there. And he's outside of the vision of these Marines and the Valkyrie. So if you need another answer, why does the Valkyrie vision suck? It's also the dynamic between the Corruptor-Valkyrie relationship at nighttime. And it requires the Valkyrie to have some other kind of support to spot targets. It's just a shooter. Okay, it's just a shooter. It's like the Void Ray. It's just a gun. It's not a gun and a scope, if you will. It's just a gun. It needs a scope on the gun to help it work. It's just the gun part of the component. You need some other kind of unit to spot the target so it can launch its missiles. But the Corruptor does do well against the Valkyrie. Especially when you've got a swarm of them. I'm not saying that you might not lose one or two of the Corruptors. You probably will. But it does okay. It does. So that's Zerg. For Terran, let's see here. There's a lot of stuff that takes these out pretty well. A cannon tower does 400 damage, and it's got 450 hit points. So a cannon tower is almost a one-shot defense structure against the Valkyrie. Also, the Valkyrie does not attack ground units, so the cannon tower is a pretty strong defense against the Valkyrie. You don't see a lot of Valkyrie against Terrans, though, and the reason is because Valkyrie do best against Reapers, so if you're not making lots of Reapers, he's probably not making any Valkyrie. They do well, though, against Falcons. Oh, see, I moved. I just moved in my chair just a little bit, and my dog just got off the couch, and he's looking at me like he wants something, and it's still dark outside. I swear, man, like, everybody is just waiting on me. I don't even want to think about the IRS. I don't think about everything else in life. Everybody's just waiting on me, and it bugs the crap out of me. I'm getting through it when I get through it. You get your food when you get your food, bud. You get your food when you get your food. Those puppy dog eyes, buddy. I know you're hungry, buddy. He licked his chops. I know he's hungry. Buddy, you're gonna have to wait till I eat the next meal. I'll get you some food. I'll get you some food. I'm also cooking chicken and rice in the house right now. They're in the crock pot. So, it's bad enough. I guess he's hungry, I guess. But he's having to smell it, so... He smells both of them cooking, and it's just too much for him. He's got to bug me every hour or so. Like, he's like, are you aware that there is chicken and rice cooking in this house right now? Because you don't seem to be as excited about this fact as I am. And I'm like, yeah, no, I know, man. I put it in there. I know. It's getting ready. All right, Valkyrie against Terrans. I need to really start to be less thorough and just start wrapping this stuff up. Wraiths, Falcons do. The Valkyrie will take a Wraith or Falcon out. Obviously, one salvo. Wraith or Falcon upgraded range. That's about the only thing. Banshees will get wrecked. The Valkyrie is good at killing Banshees. Really good at it. So if you've got... If he's spamming Banshees, make a Valkyrie. Because the Valkyrie is an air superiority unit, but it's a different kind. It's kind of like an air siege, in a way, with its 65 range and its salvo. So it's not as strong in a gunfight like as a Phoenix or as a Corruptor, but it does have siege ability against air units from further away. So it does do a lot of... It wreaks havoc on Banshee groups, so yeah, that's a good unit to use it against. The Valkyrie doesn't really do well against capital ships. The armor on the capital ships negates most of the damage, and that's as simple as that. It's a missile boat meant for taking out lighter air units, and that's about it. Let's see here. Capital ships, yes, you can always make stingers. Like I said, that is always an option. The Valkyrie can't do any damage to the Stinger, but the Stinger can do a lot of damage to the Valkyrie. So there is... I'm telling you, the Stinger is kind of like a universal anti-vehicle, period. It just... then that's how it is in reality, too. A little guy with a rocket launcher can do a lot to a vehicle, you know. It's very cost efficient because you're just paying for the rocket launcher and you're not paying for the whole other vehicle that's bringing it to the battlefield, you know. The only downside is Stingers are so slow. And they're not everywhere on the map at one time like an aircraft can be. So that's Terran versus Terran. Missile turrets also good defense versus Valkyrie. Keep them out of the area since they outrange them by quite a bit. Protoss, a Monolith, it will one-shot a Valkyrie. That's all I gotta say. Monolith is a very hard counter. Well, not very hard. It's a good counter because the Valkyrie missiles can still damage the Monolith, but the Monolith can one-shot it. That's all I gotta say, man. One shot, and it's done. That's it. It might be able to get some damage to the Monolith first, but I mean the cost of... Let's see here. The cost of the Valkyrie... let's go back. Oops, I did it again. And no, I'm not Britney Spears. 250 mineral... 250 gas, 750 mineral. And then the cost of a Monolith, let's make one here so you can see it. So I don't think I've built one yet, ever, on these videos. The cost of the Monolith is 2,000 mineral, 500 gas. So a Monolith costs about twice as much as a... We're going to put them on hold fire because we don't... Actually, you know, I'm going to demonstrate this so you can see this for yourself. And he's just going to turn around. Get moving, bud. Get moving. You're going to die. Get out of here. And he's dead. 100 range. Well, 80 range. I always get the range upgrade. That's why I say 100. You can get the shield upgrade. Maybe it's worth it. I don't know. It doubles the shields or something like that. What does the button say here? Yeah. It doubles the shields. Plus 500 shield. Also gives it faster shield regeneration rate. So I guess if you're making a Monolith in an area and the 80 range is good enough for where it is and it's taking a lot of heat, then you would want to go with the shields. upgrade, but otherwise this range upgrade right here puts it to from 80 to 100. It's generally the best way to go. A Monolith will instantly kill a Valkyrie, as you just saw. So that is one expensive way to counter a Valkyrie, but that is one way to keep them out of an area. A more practical alternative. Where did he go? I probably killed him, didn't I? Yeah, that happens. Is the Immortal. The Immortal is just your best bet. And the reason the Immortal is a hard counter to the Valkyrie because the Immortal can take no damage from the Valkyrie, and it does wear them down over a distance or gun them down close up. So the Immortal is your best bet as Protoss against Valkyrie, hands down. You can also make some Dragoons also if it's stupid enough to get too close, but it normally isn't. Air units like a Valkyrie keep their distance if they're smart. So this is why the Immortal with his 100 range over the Valkyrie's 65 range is just so beneficial. I know the damage isn't a lot. You know, it's 80 damage between each of those two missiles, 40 damage each, 80 damage total. But that adds up quickly to a Valkyrie that only has 450 health. So I would think if you're going to fight against Valkyrie, your first unit of choice would be the Immortal. Your second unit of choice would be either the Phoenix or the Scout. The Scout, obviously, to go in and gun it down real quick, or hit it from far away with its missiles since it outranges it. The Phoenix is kind of risky because it is a light aircraft, and the Valkyrie does shoot anti-light missiles. However, even though you may lose one or two Phoenix, these Phoenix can go in and make very quick work of that Valkyrie. And then, of course, then there's the Monolith. So that is the Valkyrie. I'm going to leave it at that. Oh, a Valkyrie is also kind of cool in that since it fires a salvo, sometimes you've got an enemy observer near some Prisma Cannons, and you can't use a missile turret to kill the observer because the Prisma Cannon will shoot down the one set of missiles very easily. However, a Valkyrie salvo allows you to get a bunch of missiles in there, and one of them will kill this light observer. All it takes is just one missile to get through. So a Valkyrie is a useful tool fighting against Protoss to get rid of an observer in an area. If you're using Spectres and Ghosts and you just need that observer dead, and you can't use the overpowered snipe maybe because you don't have a Ghost and he's not there or whatever, and your Spectre's just there by himself, a Valkyrie salvo would get rid of the observer, and it would allow the detection to be gone and your Spectre to go to work. So I was trying to think of, like, why would you need a Valkyrie against Protoss in any other situation? Well, that would be one against, like, an observer. So there is that. Okay, the Firestorm is one of my favorite units because it just seems to be my style of play. Okay, let me demonstrate how a Firestorm is used. It has no weapon, it just has an ability to start dropping bombs. And that ability costs 200 gas, so we have 50 gas more than a High Templar. But I want to show you how it's used. So see these two anti-nukes right here? And this is going to be really funny if I F this up in my demonstration here as I record live with no outtakes or cuts or anything like that. So okay, this looks like it's about the point that's lined up. I want to bomb this line. It does line bombing, okay? Almost the size of a whole screen when you're zoomed in, normal zoom. So it's about this much, okay? So when you're using a Firestorm, you're looking for like how your opponent is bunched up or how they made their cities. I mean, another option is you could go this way and get 2 academies and 2 armories, but I like this more because we're going to say our goal is to try to get rid of these anti-nukes, because then we're going to use the big nuke. And you know what, we'll just do this just for the fun of it. If I can get to, I probably won't kill both of them this bombing. So here is how you use a Firestorm effectively. I want to show you how, because most new players will usually... I remember when Hanzo had terrible luck using the Firestorm at first, and he wasn't... Because, I mean, he didn't know better, like, how to queue this stuff up. The problem is, let me give an example here. If I tell this scout to move here, he's going to start to decelerate, like here. That's where he started to slow down. Like halfway. All that distance, he started to slow down. So if you tell him to move to a point they're actually going to stop and slow down before they get to that point. And for a bomber, that's death. A bomber's life and staying alive is his speed. You want him usually start going from one end of the map. You don't want to get him going like from here to there, unless you want him to go slower because you want more of the bomb impacts to hit a smaller area like an Ultralisk or something. That is a different reason. But for most bombings, for what we're doing here, you want to be going at maximum speed. They have a very slow acceleration, so it takes them time to get up to maximum speed. This is intentional. Again, this is by design. I also like to tell the distance to move a little bit, like past, if this is the line that I want to attack, past the target here. Okay, I'm going to be on normal speed. And I want to queue it up. Okay, no, stop. I don't like it. So I didn't like that line, so I stopped. I didn't like that line. I want the line to be... nope, I still don't like that line. He's got to be further up. I'm picky about this, but it's worth it. It makes for really good bombings. Okay? Okay, so what I'm doing, you can't see my mouse and keyboard right now, so I'm clicking, right-clicking here, and then I'm right-clicking some other distant part of the map on the mini-map as his second point to go to, with holding the shift key. That's how you queue up commands. So I'm gonna right-click here, and then I'm gonna shift right-click somewhere else. Now that's nice and sweet. I like that. And now I'm going to wait for the bomber to get about here. There's about a half a second delay for his bombs to start going. Then I'm going to drop. And look at that. Nice and sweet. And what is he doing? He's already flying out of the distance. He's only taken 8 damage. Missiles are trying to catch this guy, get their revenge, and you guys missed. Ha, you missed. Now, I'm going to comm scan this thing so you can see. Those anti-nukes are pretty rough. Yeah, that one is going to maybe die from fire, and that one's almost dead. Anti-nukes are intentionally made to be rough. Now, I killed those two, that one orbital there and that command center there in this one bombing. So you think about that. 200 gas killed an orbital, which is 400, 100, plus the command center gas, so that's 400, 400, and then that one was 300 mineral. So that was 700 mineral, 700 mineral, 100 gas. I'm pretty sure there were some other small buildings that I don't remember that were there, like some other turrets maybe. Yeah, so he finally lost his one anti-nuke, so that was 500, 100. So you can see right here, bombings can very quickly, now he's ready to do another bombing. It's 1 minute per bombing. And now what I'm going to do, I want to take this out right here. Look at this nice chunk of Protoss crap wanting to be bombed. And so the angle that I'm looking at on the mini-map is something like this, if you follow my mouse. Something like that. And so I'm going to put the bomber somewhere down here. It's just the starting point. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, again, right-click past where I want the bombing to hit, which is about there, and then right-click out here. Oh, nope, I don't like that. Angle's not right. Nope. We're going to do that again, but a little bit further here. Okay, and then we're going to try it again. And I'm going to try it again. Okay, that's nice. I'm good with that. It hits the fleet beacon. It hits all this stuff.
Your forces are under attack.
Click. Boom. Look at that. Nice, sweet. That's how you do that. Yep, clean up all that. Ooh, money. Clean up all that fog. More money. A lot of money on this map. Nobody's picking it up. So, look at the devastation I just did to this Toss City. Yeah, I did. I missed the fleet beacon, but I killed everything else, basically. There is about a half-second delay from the moment you hit the drop napalm. The moment you hit that button, there is about a half a second delay. So you have to time it, and it's kind of an eyeball thing. So right there was... I mean, sometimes it's luck. I mean, that was kind of lucky that the bombs literally started dropping right where the buildings were. It's sometimes a little before or a little after. It's not always perfect. But I kind of eyeball it based on his speed, and I kind of think, okay, right there is where I'm going to hit end, because half a second later he's going to be about there, and then he's going to just start dropping that bombs. And firestorms are scary. They really are. I honestly think the firestorm right now, even at its price of 750 mineral, 200 gas, is probably still a little underpriced. It's in the similar scale as like a Valkyrie and all that in terms of the devastation it can do, but you know, it's a ground. And of course then the ammo, 200 gas, is kind of what justifies that its price isn't so bad right now, because that's 200 gas for every single bombing. Let me come at this other, I just like bombing stuff. My grandpa was a bomber in World War II. Maybe it's in the blood. I don't know. It's something about the idea of being invincible as you fly over the sky and you just drop hell on these people. Okay, that's good. No, I don't like that actually. I want to get the Nidus in that. I need to go up a little bit more. I want that Nidus dead. That's more important than those hatch. Nope, don't like that. So I hit stop to immediately stop his, I think I need to angle it like that to there. Nope, that to there. Yep, that's it. That's the spot right there. It crosses right over the Nidus. It's going to hit some of that hive. So I'm thinking right about here is where I'm going to drop. And they do you wrong when that happens. Look at that. Look at that. That is just gross. That is just gross. And I'm going to keep flying perpendicular to those missile turrets in case they launch some more. Please don't shoot my bomber. That is just, I hate it when it does that. It means one of the bombs, one of the little bomblets, it's like 1 hit point right there. Look at that. That is sad. Killed those 2 hatcheries though. 300, 600 $1 value right there. Almost got the Nidus. Firestorm, I actually want to spend a lot of time on the Firestorm because it is such a positional unit and is so important for Terrans. A Firestorm combined with different kinds of units have a very powerful effect. A Thor, for example, is countered by, if you remember the past video, a Nidus Canal can just burst up from out of the ground and just devour this guy. Just instantly kill a Thor. So a Nidus Canal, which costs a small fraction of a Thor's cost, is a counter to a Thor. So that means you need to kill the Nidus Canal, right? And that's not just some easy thing because they're usually buried in the city. And that's where the Firestorm comes in. Okay? I'll get to counters to the Firestorm here in a second, but just assuming things were the way we saw it, the Firestorm takes out the Nidus, and now the Thor can operate without having fear of being Nidused. So he's way more effective now knowing that the Nidus is dead. So the Thor Firestorm combination is very strong. There's other combinations out there that are also strong. What was it? Tempest Colossus is also a good one. There's a number of combinations that when you use together, they're very powerful. The Firestorm is really good use with the Thor. It's also a very strong infantry support. The Firestorm will kill a Spore Cannon almost every time in a bombing. In fact, I wish they made one. In fact, I'm going to make one for them. Just as a... go get that money, please. I can't... I just can't have... Just money sitting around. I can't... Oh, you're going to build on top of it. I see how it is. I don't even know how you were able to do that. I just can't handle money, just free money, just sitting out there and nobody picking it up. It bugs me. My OCD, man. I have to. I don't care if it's in allies. I don't care. If it's just been sitting there longer than 20 seconds, I'm getting it. I don't care if they think I'm a thief. It's just my way. Alright, so, we're going to build... Oh, we need an evolution chamber. I bombed everything else. My bad. Evolution chamber. Done. Okay, this Spore Cannon, right, we're going to put it right back here in this little nest right here. I'm getting you this next run. You watch. Okay, this Spore Cannon right here is hell. It is hell for infantry clusters. Let me fire one spore shot so you can believe it with your own eyes. Well... Hold fire. I'm just going to attack one of these. Can't attack my own structure. Since when? Oh, that's nonsense. Absolutely I can't. Or absolutely I can. What the heck? What is wrong with this test map? Okay, so to give you an idea, since I can't show you, I did show it in a past video. So if you've been watching all this through, then you already know. And if you play the game, you already know. A spore cannon will literally melt. See the size of this Nidus right here? All your infantry units in there are going to instantly get melted, and units around that are going to be melting and eventually die too. A spore cannon is death for infantry, especially heavy infantry that are slow and armored and just ripe for melting. Spore cannons are just brutal on infantry. Generally, once he has a spore cannon up, you cannot move your infantry until it's dead. The cost of trying to is just so expensive. And so a firestorm is one of the natural counters to a spore cannon, because it can get it in one bombing, which I'm going to do here. Oh yes I will. Yes I will. Sometimes the spore cannon is left crippled like that Nidus canal. It's so sad when you realize you're going to have to do it again. So I'm looking at the angle of the mini-map. I'm trying to get the angle right here. We're going to see if we can't do this again. That's okay. Actually, that looks a little better right there. Okay. And I'm going to get you this time. And I don't have them as enemies. I need to do that. Oh well. And drop. Got it? Got it. Okay. So, and yes, I do a lot of bombing. It is kind of its own acquired skill. You kind of get a knack for it after a while. It's always funny to watch new players try it, though, because they almost always... My favorite is when the new player slows down, and then like one of their spine crawlers just stabs the firestorm right in the cockpit and blows it up the ship with one stab. I mean, that's probably the most gratifying way of watching a firestorm fail. A spine crawler, for sure. It just slows down like it wants to die, and then it just gets impaled by the spine crawler. So, yeah, that's basically how you bomb. If you see before I get into Protoss, a spore crawler is probably one of the most... I'm not saying spore crawler. A spore cannon is probably the best reason to build a firestorm. Because the moment you kill one spore cannon, you have made cost. Your firestorm is now at least removed something off the map worth as much as the firestorm. Because let me show you the costs here so you can see. Firestorm is 750 mineral, 200 gas, and where's a drone here? I need a drone, guys. And a spore cannon is 750 mineral, 150 gas. So it's just 50 gas less than a firestorm. So they're almost the same price. So close, it almost really doesn't matter. Now, someone's going to say, but you dropped 200 gas for the bomb. Yeah, but I also killed other hatcheries and other stuff too. It's not. But you know what? It's worth. Honestly, I would spend the 200 gas just to kill that spore cannon. So I don't care. That's just collateral. I'm fine with that. But just the spore cannon is worth making the firestorm. I almost instinctively, if I have a starport, an armory, and the resources to make a firestorm, and I see a spore cannon, I almost by habit will just immediately go down and hit F and get it going. I mean, I already know you have to, because if you don't, you cannot advance, and if you can't advance, you're not winning. Okay, you're slowly sinking and getting melted. So I will almost always just make a firestorm if I have the resources and there isn't something more important going on. I will almost always just make the firestorm the moment I see a spore cannon. So now, how do you defend against that? That's a great question for Zerg, and you need to be aware of this as a firestorm user. You defend against it with Zerg. Let me make a spore cannon here so it looks like a more realistic simulation. I'm gonna make the spore cannon here. So that's not a good place for it though. Let me make that somewhere else that's a little bit more realistic, like next to this anti-missile structure. That's probably a better place. There, nice and nested right in there. It's a little safer. It's kind of stupid out there. Okay, so I got this spore cannon going. I'm in business. Look at this. I'm gonna melt a bunch of Marines. I love being a Zerg, right? So now if I'm a Terran player, Let's just say, just for ease, I like how this is already lined up here. This looks like a good bombing run right here. Whether I was coming at it from this side or from this side, same thing. I don't want to have to do this from the other side because they're all going to shoot me. And those are slick bombings too. When you can come at him from his own territory, like if you can hide over a cliff and start from there, and come at him from his own base, that's just smooth. Okay, so this right here, this. See this line I'm talking about right here? Okay, go back. So I'm gonna, if I'm a Zerg player, and I know there's a player out there that likes to use Firestorm, how do you defend this if you know that the angle is probably going to be this way? I mean, it might be like this way, or it might be this way, but it's probably going to be this way. And really, I guess it doesn't matter. Well, the first thing that comes to mind, here's the solution, since I don't have a lot of time. Scourge. Scourge are a strong defense against Firestorm. Use them like landmines. Here's what you do. You don't even have to care about what angle they're coming from. Just put them around here like this, and that's it. Hold position. They're mines. What's going to happen is, and it's really sad, and I've done it a couple times, and I'm trying to get the AI to do this too. They still don't do it well. I'm trying to get the AI to be better at this. So I'm a happy little bomber. Like, I'm going to kill me a spore cannon. Boom, dead. What happens is this spore, he won't even kill the spore cannon because he's got 150 health, and all it takes is those 2 Scourge to blow up that 1 Firestorm. So this right here is like a minefield, and you can put it however you want it, you know, based on the direction you think they're coming. You can set them on patrol so they kind of have a little bit wider area, or hold position or whatever if you don't want them wandering off to something else that you don't want. Scourge are your anti-Firestorm defense. If I see a bunch of Scourge, I'm sad. As a Firestorm user, I'm sad because I meant to bomb these things and I can't now. So now I have a new goal. So now what I'm going to try and do now as a Terran player, now that he's using combination, I got to use combination. So what am I going to do? I'm going to probably do something like make a Valkyrie here. And since it outranges the Seeker Nest that he's got right here, and he's got range 65, and I'm just going to try, and now here's the problem, he's got his anti-missile too, so this is strong, so it's worth the try. I know, he can't shoot at allies, it's so stupid. Why can't I have more friendly fire in this? What I'm going to try to do, just as a right off the bat, I'm going to try and use artillery to get rid of this, so I can then use the Valkyrie to missile these Scourge away. He may not be paying attention. He may not realize what I'm trying to do here. He may or may not. It all depends on what player I'm going up against. Arno would probably realize what I'm trying to do. I've noticed that playing some games against him. Like he seems pretty conscious about, like, there are times when players are killing other units just because they can, and then there are times players are killing units with intention. Like, there's a reason why they're killing just those units. And this is an example. If he notices that his only swarm colony is getting hammered by tanks, he's going to know there's a reason why. Of all these units, think about that. I could use the tank to start shooting at the spore cannon, but I'm not going to do that. Why? Because if he's got a queen here, let me make one for simulation purposes. If he's got a queen right here, or Queenie, where are you? There, hiding. Okay, this is just sad. We got a traffic jam here. I think I need to get rid of this one. Yeah, you're dead. There, now you can move a little better. So, if he's got a queen which heals units with transfusion and just dumps like 200 hit points back into it, the queen with transfusion is going to out heal a structure than a siege tank is going to do in damage per second. So now your siege tank has to hit the queen before it can even start shelling the spore cannon. And if the queen burrows itself, now you gotta scan, find the queen, hit the. I mean, this is too much crap right here. This is just too much crap. So it would be easier because you can one-shot the swarm colony with a tank. You see why I say this? Trying to kill the spore cannon with a siege tank when it's supported by so much stuff around it, it's just, it would be a waste, especially if he's got healing nearby. best to kill the anti-missile system. So say that's dead, right? That dies, you hit it with a tank. Now you can come in with your Valkyrie, and that's about 65 range, it's close to it. And you start unloading your missile salvo to start killing off all these Scourge. Obviously, all of them dead is best, but sometimes you just need the ones in the front, these right here. So, it depends on how badly you need that Spore Cannon dead. If it's just there and you don't like the fact that it exists, then you can wait for all the Scourge to die, but you take the risk of him making more. And that's actually okay, because you're forcing him to keep losing gas. But if you need that thing dead now, like if it's just if there's a bunch of expensive infantry out there and they're doing business and you're making decent progress with your infantry, but that Spore Cannon just wiped out a whole cluster again, and you're like, man, that thing has to die now. You just make sure you kill out the front Scourge, because what'll happen is you just need your Firestorm to make it to about there. That's all. You just need it to make it that far. It can die right here. It doesn't matter. So if you wipe out these front Scourge right here, you're good. These back ones right here, whatever. You just need it to get right over this, and you're good. So that is one way, though, you defend against Firestorm bombings is Scourge. It's really the best way. Now, the Scourge, here's the thing. Or, I'm sorry, the Firestorm, after he's done the deed, and he's bombed, now, all he's trying to do is get home in one piece, so it's an actual steal. So he made cost. So because if you lose the Firestorm, then it kind of negates the loss of your enemy's resources if you lost just as much. So the second half of that mission is to get home alive. A huge mistake that new players do is this. They do their bombing, and then they fly, like say they're going to fly this way. Now this Spore Crawler is like, I'm going to kill you. And it fires its slow spore that does not turn. If you do not turn even once like this, not even once, and you just fly straight home, that Spore Crawler will follow you all the way home and kill you. You have got to turn a lot after you get out of there. That's all I do is usually turn, turn, turn like crazy, just because I have lost some Firestorms out of laziness, or I'll sit there and be like, look how awesome. I bombed all that shit. And so while I'm sitting there talking about how great of a bomber I am, my bomber gets killed, and it's very sad. And it's like I'm quiet about it. It's something I'm not happy about sharing. And everybody will just be like, LOL, you know, you see your bomber just die. Like, yeah, I did. Talking is the #1 way I lose anything in this game. But the reason is because instead of microing this bomber home to life, I was not. And I was just flying in a straight line, and that Spore Colony just, boom, and just hit it. So, and that happens also with missile turrets too. Any long-range attacker, missile turrets, Immortals, you have got to just keep juking on your way home. And obviously you're going to want to fly over areas with anti-missiles to kind of shed them off if they're missile turrets, you know. So there is that. Getting him home is the other part of the mission. The first part is just getting a good bombing run, and the second part is getting him home alive. I'll be real, if he just keeps spamming Scourge here though, your Firestorm is just going to have to park it. The good news is, if you're patient, and you're willing to wait 5, 10, 15 minutes, whatever, there's eventually going to be a time where all of his Scourge are not there anymore. I don't know how, it's just a sequence of events. If he doesn't have them on hold position, you could have lured them away with a Falcon or something else, got them to just... All I know is, they usually don't just sit there for the whole game. Something will happen. I can almost guarantee you something will happen, and those Scourge will not always be there, so you could just wait. Now, if you have the luxury of waiting, like I said, if you don't have buddies trying to attack some city nearby and they're getting melted. But if it's just there and he just kind of made it just because he just wants to kind of keep stuff out of his area, you can just wait. So there is that. A Spore Cannon, I'll get into Spore Cannon tactics later. There's a lot of ways to deal with a Spore Cannon. There's not just one way for Terrans. It's not just Firestorm. Ghost Tac Newts is one. You can put enough tanks out off a distance and shell them. I mean, there's a number of different ways to take spore cannons. For new players, it's hell, though. New players do not know how to deal with spore cannons because all they want to do is just make Marines. And you will die. You will die to a spore cannon if all you do is make Marines. You just won't have anything left before you even get to a city. And that's why new players always hate the spore cannon. I always laugh, honestly. I kind of smile when I watch the AI doing what it's supposed to. Whenever the AI makes a spore cannon, and there are conditions for it to make the spore cannon, and one of them is infantry spam. Infantry spam will prompt the AI to make a spore cannon. So when certain conditions are met, and when there aren't enough threats on the map, like if there's a lot of anti-spore cannon units on the map, a lot of firestorms, a lot of stuff, the AI won't make it. But if there are not enough counters on the map, and there are enough great things that the spore cannon kills well on the map, it will make a spore cannon, at least one. And you'll notice sometimes it'll make them at expansions, which is actually kind of cool, because then as the AI expands over the map, it's also spreading its spore cannon network. It becomes cancer, really, it does. Because now you're doomed to have to try and eliminate all of these spore cannons to even come close to any of their cities. So there is that. I'll get to spore cannons later, though, when I'm talking about Zerg. But yeah, definitely one of the best things the Firestorm is good for is taking out spore cannons for Zerg. Another thing you can do, and I'm sorry, little Ultralisk, I want to show you, and this is really important too. I'm going to make one of each of these VIPs. This is a bomber, so basically it kills everything on the ground. The real thing about the bomber is trying to kill it before it can kill everything on the ground. But I want to show you just the destructive power of a Firestorm. Now, for a setup like this, let's assume you're not going to try and attack him in the city where there's all this anti-air, and we're going to have him somewhere out here, and he's got his little party going somewhere out here, okay? In this situation right here, you would not want to actually be approaching this fast, okay? Because the faster the Firestorm is, the greater the chance is he's not going to die, but also the more spread out all of his bombs are. The problem is you want all the damage right here to hit right here. So what you would do here, and you can kind of just milk it and nurse it and just kind of go slow and patient, and then boom, just hit it. Look at this. I just killed an Ultralisk and a Nimbalisk and left a Brutalisk damaged by slowing down and kind of hovering over the unit, and I try to stay over it just long enough to where it's going to die and then spill over and kill the other one, just like it did right there. So right there, that bombing right there, look at the damage value there. 1,250 mineral, 250 gas for him lost, another 500 mineral, so 500 gas and 1,750 mineral wasted, not counting the damage to the Brutalisk. Wasted. You just did about 4,000, was it 1,500? So yeah, about 2,500 to 3,000 resources worth of damage with one bombing that only costs 200 gas, and you're almost ready to do another one. The Firestorm wreaks hell on Ultralisk, Brutalist clusters like this. You have to have Scourge, some kind of solution to keep that bomber from coming in. This is why people will say that the Firestorm is overpowered if they come across somebody who uses them well. Because they're gonna, first of all, they think that the bomb ability is free. So there's that. They don't understand that, hey, I gotta pay gas. That when I use Firestorms, it sucks, because a lot of the times I'm gonna have a lot of mineral left over and no gas. And it sucks. Because all of my allies probably gobbled all the gas expansions, and I only got like one gas, or maybe one gas and one gas expansion. And I'm doing the team a lot of help by bombing all these things, and they just think like it's free or something. And then there's going to come a point in the game. I know I'm venting here. I'm totally venting, and that's fine. There's going to come a point in the game where I don't have the gas anymore to bomb anymore. And even though I've been making a killing on some of these large units, some of the spore cannons, even though I've been doing really good things most of the time, I'll be like, guys, man, I don't have any gas. And they're like, meh, they don't care. And that's it. And then now I'm doomed to just spam Marines because I've got no gas left, and all I can do is do mineral units. And my bomber is just chilling at home somewhere, and they're like, oh my gosh, these spore cannons are melting us, we're dying. And I'm like, yeah. The same way they were like, yeah, when I said I don't have any gas. I'm like, yeah. I mean, what do you want me to do? I don't have any more gas, you know? I think I'm a pretty good bomber. I think I use bombers very well, but if I don't have gas, I can't bomb, and that's it. So that's frustrating. You do have to have a lot of gas to finance a firestorm. About using more than one firestorm, wow, you'd have to have a lot of gas. And the reason, I mean, there is some logic behind that. I've tried that a couple times, because what you're doing is you're doubling the chance of your bombers getting back, because not all of their attack is focused on one unit now. It's divided by 2. So you're more likely going to get something back, because if anything, you'll get 2 injured firestorms back, but you won't have 1 dead firestorm. So there is some logic behind using 2. If you do use 2, you're actually going to have to use this N key, the drop napalm key, twice. You're going to have to click it twice. And obviously, if you're going to do it, let me make a second one here, just for visual demonstration purposes. Kill you, don't need you. Okay, so you would obviously not, like, okay, let's say you're going to bomb, you'd want to spread them out, is what I'm trying to say here. Let's say you've got him here and him here, and you might even have 2 control groups if you want, rather than putting them in the same one. If you put in the same one, they're going to crisscross, so let me be gutsy, and I'm going to do this. See, that's, to me, that's too, no, that's not worth it. You're bombing dirt by that point. This is why I don't like using 2 bombers in the same control group. See, now, here's what I'm going to do, and this does take quite a bit of micro here. I'm going to do, see, 1 is top, 2 is bottom. Okay. I'm going to do 1 here, 2 here, like this. Oh, that's ugly, see? And, see, it's more micro. It's more spectacular, of course. See, I did not do good with the second one now. The first one was okay. Now, like I said, you're dividing the defense now. So, see, he got 117 damage and he only got 8 damage. So that's pretty sweet. I divided the damage between the 2 of them. I got more of it done at once, but I fumbled that one because I was too busy microing this one. If you have them in the same control group, like you saw earlier, they're going to want to merge. Let me just, so you can see the points. See, they're going to merge. Wasted. It's just a waste. Because what's going to happen is one of these bombers is going to do all the damage to kill most of this stuff, and then the other one's just bombing already dead dirt. So, that's the problem. You could probably fool around with this and, like, have them really spread out. Let me see what's going to happen if I have them, like, on one end of the other map and the other, so they'll, like, crisscross. Yeah, thank heavens this isn't super realistic to the point where air units collide and crash. Yeah, don't give me any ideas, right? Actually, I do plan on having capital ships. Okay, so this is a little more reasonable, because you've got this here and you've got that there, so I'm going to see if I can't... Okay, that's a little bit more reasonable. You're not... I still think using only 1 firestorm is more efficient. And see, I'm not zigzagging. I'm talking. I could have lost one right there. I just think using 1 at a time is more efficient, and the fact that you're dropping 200 gas per attack, and that's not cheap. 400 gas for 2 of them at once. You really got to kind of do the math on what you're planning to kill. I know there's a fusion core right here. Oh, by the way, sending your firestorm on a fusion core run. Well, you better have a letter ready for his family, because he's not coming back. When that fusion core goes nuclear, that bomber's dead. So the best way to use that is to use the bomber to get it down to critical health and then get out. But if you're, I mean, a fusion core cost, it all depends. If he's, obviously, if it's in a city, it's good because you're killing the whole city. But if he's like out here by himself like he is right here, let's just look at the cost of a fusion core. So the fusion core is 400. So it is worth more than a firestorm. But then firestorm plus 200 gas bombing, it's not. Firestorm is 200 gas plus the bombing 400, so it's the same gas but it's more mineral. You're actually losing resources on bombing just like a lone fusion core. So The only reason you'd want to do a suicide run on a fusion core is if it was like in the middle of a big old city and you just want to, it's like a free nuke basically. Fusion cores go nuclear when they die. I probably didn't mention that in this video, but yeah. They go nuclear when they die. It's pretty spectacular. You know what? Let me demonstrate this. Let me do a one-way mission here. Even though he's got that flak turret here, I wonder if I can't do this under... it's going to be under pressure. It's going to be under pressure. I'm going to see if I can't... Oh, and he's going to be shot at by missiles, too. Because they can see him down here. Oof. No, 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 no. Don't shoot at me. Don't shoot at me. I mean you no harm, little colony. No. Bad. Colony. See, you gotta slow down to get all of the bombs to hit. Here we go. And there we go. So, that poor pilot gave his life for the greater good. Now, if he was in a big city, this would be worthwhile. Out in the middle of the open, like you just saw with the math, you actually lose resources, so there's that. Terrans and firestorms. Man, there's a lot to talk about with the firestorm because it is such a positional unit. It's not like it just has a weapon and it fights other units. It flies over and it drops bombs. So, it's got 4 armor, and then of course when it's moving, when it's faster, it's got that extra 8, so that's 12. Anything less than 12 is not going to get through. If you have a Thor, if you have a Punisher, if you have a Harbinger, these are units that will instantly stop a firestorm. So if you ask the question, how do you defend as a Terran, how do you defend against bombings, I just gave you 3 units that will do that well. The other option, of course, is a Wraith, and to find him while he's camped. He's usually camped at some depot somewhere, loading back up, near some starport, repairing. To use the Wraith to get in and use your lasers and just gun him down. Basically, prevention, just killing him in his own base. You can block him, like I said, with those 3 mechs. Let me look at the other mech menu to see what else we have here. Goliaths, Goliaths don't kill it fast enough to be effective for what we're talking about here. Don't get me started on snipe. I still haven't fixed snipe. Then again, the Banshee guns, you know what's funny? The guns on the Falcon and the Banshee might actually do decent at trumping the Firestorm before it's able to get to its target. So, like, if you had, yeah, it might not be so bad, just the guns. The problem is, it's like you're going to be able to predict exactly where the Firestorm is going to go, you know? This is why, and the facing of units matters. See how the Thor is facing this way and the Punisher is facing this way? This is a much better defensive formation when you're trying to just keep an area safe from firestorms, as opposed to both of them facing the same direction. Why is this bad? I mean, I shouldn't have to say this, but I guess I do. So he's got his fusion core right here, and he's got his Punishers thinking that the firestorm is going to come from this direction, right? From the Zerg city, he's going to come this way, and he's going to bomb that. Yeah, but what if he comes up from this direction? That's where I would, obviously, the way it's clustered. What if he comes from this way? Look at how slow they are to turn. Too late. Just like that, too late. He's done. Too late. This firestorm, I'm going to have him started at maximum speed from one end of the map to the other. And in fact, let me do that just so you can see the speed compared to how fast the Thor turns. I know. What I'm trying to leave as little take my word for it as I can, and I'm wanting you to see it for yourself. I'm just going to have him go here and queue back, and I'm going to have him, both of them, turn the moment that he's in range. And he's not even in range yet either, too, by the way. Okay, now he's in range. Oh, too late. Too late. Nuked. Too late. So what I'm getting at here is, even though the Thor and the Punisher the Thor will one-shot a firestorm. Let me check. If not, it's very critical. Shoot him for his war crimes. Okay, yeah. He leaves him down to about 50 health for the Thor. And let me check the Punisher. I bet you the Punisher, who's got his hack damage, is going to do more damage than the Thor, because I haven't fixed him yet. Okay. A little less damage. Okay. Maybe it got fixed. I don't know. But what I'm getting at here is the facing of these units that do stop a Firestorm fast, or a Harbinger. Let me get him out here too, because he's one of the group with his instant hit cannon. You need quite a few more of these, obviously. They do turn faster, so that's good. His range is 20, his range is 20, and the Thor's 25. So you would need several of these in a city. You would want to face them in the direction that you would assume that the Firestorm is probably going to come from. But like I say, you got to be careful too late. Now his armor is 4 when he's not moving fast. So here's the issue about that. When I demonstrated over here bombing this, I had to slow down, right? Look at this auto turret right here. Range 15, damage 7, with a high rate of fire of 0.1. So he's going to get 3 damage in for every 0.1. So he's going to get 30 damage in a second. Just one auto turret is going to get 30 damage in a second on a slow-moving Firestorm. Now, if he's moving fast, the auto turret's not going to catch him. But if he's moving fast, he's not going to be able to put enough damage onto the fusion core to blow it up. So you see the Firestorm's dilemma here. If he moves slow, the auto turrets will kill him. If he moves fast, he won't be able to one-shot the fusion core. So this is, if you put a couple, I just have auto turrets around a fusion core for general purpose. I mean, they shoot down missiles that might come at it. You just want auto turrets around sensitive buildings like this. Auto turrets, but like I said, these units right here, these 3 right here, these are they will shoot him down quickly, especially if he stops to slow down. But even if he doesn't, even if he's at max speed, they will still hit him and do a lot of damage. So there is some kind of hope for a Firestorm defense. Your best defense as a Terran, though, is not trying to block it while it's in progress. It's using a Wraith to kill his Firestorm while it's just camping at the base. That's almost always your best bet. So there is that. Spent a lot of time on Terran vs. Terran, but it's alright. It's worthwhile. It's a unit that a lot of people don't use or understand, so I feel like it's worth the time. Firestorms versus Protoss. So your Prisma Cannon right here is doing 9 damage. Okay? And when he's moving, obviously, he's not going to take any damage from the Prisma Cannon. Now, a Tal'Darim Prisma Cannon is different. It does damage differently, and it does actually get some of its damage through, so that is something. Tal'Darim Prisma Cannons are worse against units like Zerglings, but they do have an upside of being better against things like Firestorms, so there are some trade-offs. The Photon Cannon, I'm pretty sure if it's coming straight at it, the Photon Cannon will, let me just fly off here and see if I can. Nope, no, he wouldn't get it too fast, even coming from that slow corner. Sometimes, what I was going to say is sometimes the Photon Cannon, if you come straight at it, it will hit him, but no, he's going too fast, and so the Photon Cannon, won't stop. Your Immortal, though, is definitely your anti-Firestorm. The Firestorm will generally leave you can literally kill everything around the Immortal, and the Immortal will be the only thing left because of its shields. However, it does have long-range missiles that will probably get their first hit off if he's flying straight at a target with an Immortal. You can almost count that first amount of damage. In fact, let's see the damage amount. No, don't use guns. So you see that damage, it's about 100. Let me heal him so we can get an accurate value, you dummy. Where's my other Firestorm? Is he dead yet? I think he might be dead. You healed? Okay. Let's see how much just the Immortal does with just his missiles. Stop. 78. So about 75 damage. He's doing about half. He's bringing the Firestorm to about half health from a distance. And if the Firestorm is flying at a target that the Immortal is posted at to defend, there's that. And then there's the guns, of course, which I don't want to kill the Firestorm here yet. Doing 20. But I think it does more. I bet you it does. Let me turn his missile off, and let me do one attack on this guy. So he's at 81 right now. Okay. Get out of here, you big old unit blocker. Okay. Let's do one attack. One attack. Okay. From 70, what was it, 80? So yeah, so it is doing 20 damage, but it's instant hit. So it's one of those things where 2 Immortals will stop a Firestorm, and 2 Immortals costs as much as a Firestorm. 1 Immortal will usually kill the Firestorm after it's succeeded at bombing and is trying to get away. The Immortal usually is able to end him as he gets away. So, as it is, an Immortal is a pretty good unit at dealing with Firestorms. It's not like the best, you know. You could do things, spiffy things. I mean, there's always the option. Oh, then of course there's always the Monolith. The Monolith is always the one option, like a stinger for the Terrans. You know, it's like he will instantly kill the Firestorm within a 100 range area. You just have to have vision of him, but that's it. So, if I saw a Monolith as a Firestorm user, I would either do 2 things. I would time it to where I would wait until I hear the Monolith fire and then move in. Because I know he's got, here's the cooldown here, 20 seconds. The Firestorm can get in and out and bomb before that 20 seconds is up. Now, you might lose him trying to get him home, but the Monolith, if I was going to, I would time it. I would wait for the shot and then send the Firestorm in. But otherwise, the Monolith does a pretty decent job of keeping Firestorms out or killing them if they try to get away. One or the other. Phoenix, yeah, Phoenix. Here's what Phoenix are just what you could do if you wanted to. I guess you could kind of do this with a scout too. With his air armor speed, if you knew where a Firestorm was just camped out in his base, just go to guns only. Well, I guess you could have both missiles too. You wouldn't want to just go in and just shred him with guns. And Phoenixes can do the same thing. It would be a suicide mission, but let's look at the cost of a Phoenix. 75 gas, 50 mineral. Say you made 3 or 4 Phoenix for about the same value as a Firestorm. Phoenix can fire while they move. So they can strafe air units the same way a scout strafes land units. So what you would need to do, so they don't have to stop and be hit by defenses in the city, is you just move. You know what? You could just attack. Honestly, you could just attack this Firestorm, and it's gonna die. And then you try to get some of those Phoenix out alive, and that's it. So the Protoss don't have like the best blocking mechanisms. The shield thing, I forgot about this one too, and I do need to. Yeah, 135, but I bet you the damage still applies. How much you want to bet? Yep, it does. The shield blocks projectiles. It doesn't block like bombs. Like, I guess he's flying underneath the shield, even though he's not. Like, visually we're seeing him above the shield. So I know that it'll block like siege tank hits, but I didn't think it would block the bomb. TOS don't have a whole lot of block options like the Terran and Zerg do, but like I say, you can, I mean, if you even wanted to, 5, 15, upgrade the damage maybe. No, that'd be kind of stupid. Just go in there with scouts or Phoenix, guns blazing, just kill the thing, and if you get out with your air units, you do. If you don't, you don't. Just kill the thing while he's in his own base. And yeah, if he's just bombed it, I mean, just send them after them. They outrun the Firestorm. I mean, I know he's got 20, Phoenix 20, Scout 24. What I'm getting at is he's probably not going to get out alive, which is, again, that's a big deterrent as a Firestorm user, because now you're not really gaining anything from these bombings. You're wasting time to break even in resources, so you're actually losing something. So sometimes just having the air units itself is a big enough deterrent. Firestorm users are looking for free pickings, like predators in the wild. They're just looking for free pickings. They're not looking for a struggle. They just want to bomb something that's not defended and get out with a free kill, or kills. So yeah, that's TOS and the Firestorm. I almost feel like this is the point to end this one, but I'm almost there. Okay, the Griffin. We'll end it after this one after the Griffin. So the Griffin is a new unit. It is probably overpowered. I'm not even going to deny that. It's very expensive, so hey, at least you got to pay a lot to get it. Let me demonstrate the raw power of the Griffin. It's a stealth bomber. it can drop a big nuke. And the reason why, let me talk this out before I use it. Oh, I gotta wait for it anyway, so I should have had one of these going already. It can cloak. It's a bomber. It's also fast, 24, the same speed as a scout. So, and it also has very fast acceleration too. I mean, this thing is just a beast in the air. So the TAC nuke, the way this works, it's 175, and let's get this going here, is the moment you hit the E button to use it, whatever it is flying over, so see this little circle thing that's right underneath it? So if in slow motion, I don't want to though, if you're flying over and you hit the E button right there, that is about a second later, that is where the tactical nuke will detonate. The reason why there's got to be a delay is so it doesn't instantly kill, because it does damage air units too, the tactical nuke and the big nuke. The reason why there's got to be a delay is so at least the bomber has a chance to bomb and live. If there was no delay and it was instant, your bomber would die every time with it. I guess I could remove the self. You know what? I'm going to remove the self damage. But you know what? No. What am I talking about? No. There's got to be a punishment for laziness and bad play. Oh, that was a bad call I was about to make. Remove the self damage. No. If this bomber has not, well, then again, it's high altitude though. It's supposed to be symbolic for very high altitude. So it's not going to even be anywhere near. Ah, crap. Well, I can see removing the self-damage for the TAC nuke. I'm going to write this down. But then there's another issue, because I'm pretty sure this ability is tied to some other ghost ability or something like that, and that would be stupid if the ghost didn't die to his own tactical nuke. I might end up just leaving it out of laziness because I don't have time to create a whole new set of effects just for one little attribute change. Basically, so you're flying over these units right here, and then when you hit E, boom. See what I just did? And it did take a little damage from that, though. The tactical nuke is kind of a different kind of bombing than the Firestorm. It's dropping a tactical nuke, obviously, on the one location. A Firestorm is going to probably do more damage to a whole area. But this is good for, like, just a specific target. Greater Spire, something like that. But you really have to be fast. In fact, let me go back to normal speed, so at least the speeds look a little more reasonable, non-fast. You have to be fast. Like, if it's moving at top speed, you literally, it's the, whatever, like, boom, right there. Whatever that little circle is touching, the moment you hit E, that is going to be the center of where the tactical nuke will detonate. Now, there's going to be a delay, though, so he's going to keep on flying. You saw it, you clicked, and then it keeps flying, and then it'll blow up at exactly that point. So that's how you use this. You could use this to take out tanks. 175 gas to drop the tac nuke, and the tank is going to be worth more than that. 125 gas, 400 mineral. So you can use this to take out tanks and stuff like that, or Punishers, even better. So the tac nuke is one of his options. And yeah, you want to stay cloaked. The energy has been set up so that it costs 150 energy to drop a strategic nuke, and 50 energy for a tac nuke. So you do have to come back home, recharge. You can't just be flying around and just hitting the E button as much as you want. Your cloak is going to go out too. But it's timed so you have time pressure. The moment you hit cloak, you now have 50 seconds, if you will, to use the strategic nuke. And depending on how much left is how much cloak time you're going to have to fly home. So it's intentionally designed to be very tight. So you're literally just using it to get in, to drop a big nuke, get out. You're not using it to, I'm going to fly around for a little bit. Oh, this looks like a nice place to drop a strategic nuclear weapon. Okay, I think I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to kind of take my time to get it. No, screw that. High speed, get in, you drop the strategic nuke, you get out and hope it didn't fry your butt. So that's how it's set up. So okay, like right here, he's cloaked. We're gonna start him from the depot, so he starts fully charged. His strategic nuke is ready. I'm gonna do it at normal speed. I usually have zoom out for firestorm bombings. Shift Z is the key that toggles zoom. So here's what my goal is. Ugh, this is an ugly angle right here. And it's gonna look dorky the way it's gonna bounce off like a pinball, as opposed to if he was just flying straight over. You know what? Just for visual purposes, I'm going to start him from up here. So he's already going to start losing his energy, and this is what I mean when I say he's got time pressure. 150 to use it, but you still need some left over to be able to still keep his cloak on his way out. Now I'm going to have him come down here, and then I'm going to have him out there. And the moment you hit N, it's going to hit whatever that circle is. N. So he's flying. Boom. Oh, he didn't make it. See? It is a free way to get a nuke. Let me get this so you can see that. They're all radiated and almost dead. It's a free way to get a nuke out there without having to worry about anti-nukes. But look how much that Griffin cost. 2,000 mineral, 1,250 gas. And then the other 1,000 gas just for the nuke. So that was a 2,250 gas, 2,000 mineral expense, and for what? For what? To radiate their hive? To kill some of these buildings around here? So, basically, the Griffin has been nerfed in cost to keep it from being, like, it is potentially very, very dangerous. The fact that nothing really stops it. The only thing that stops it really is having some kind of radar and Scourge, like the same way you would stop a firestorm. Radar and some one-shot stuff. It's 120 health, no armor. Okay? 120 health and no armor. So it is more fragile than a firestorm. You would try to stop it the same way you would stop a firestorm. Only catch is you also need air radar. If you don't have radar, you're not going to see it. Now, radar has a radius of 36 for air detection. And this is one of the reasons why the air radar was pushed to 26. It used to be like 24 or something like that. It was pushed to 36 so that your defenses actually have enough time to take shots at the Griffin. But like I said, you're going to have to use this selectively for as expensive as it is. Look at that, 1,000 gas to drop it, and it's a lot of resources to do this way. It is still cheaper to use a strategic silo. Okay, and it's also, you keep your silo, even if you miss the missile, you keep your silo. So a Griffin is intentionally meant to be more expensive and more risky. Now, I want to get a demonstration of actually getting this nuke. Well, okay, believe me, it is possible to drop that strategic nuke and not lose your ship. I was not going fast enough. And I think the turn may have messed it up too, but I wasn't going fast enough. You have to be basically at top speed to get out of there with your life. I'm kind of wondering, though, if the speed... I had to nerf the speed so that defense has a better chance of getting it before it drops its nuke. I'm going to test this before the end of the video, though. Probably the last thing I do. Oops, nope, don't want to make that yet. Should I just do this all and get all the capital ships out of the way? I feel like this is a good time to break, though. I really do. It's been a long video. And it'd probably be best to work on these fresh. I just want to see if the nuke will... I want to see if I can get him not die. So, let me see. I'll put him over here. And hopefully nothing kills him up here. That would be my luck. Yeah, when you're not using it, I usually like to keep him cloaked, even at home. He's just worth so much. 2,000 mineral, 1,250 gas, and he's so easy to kill. I mean, imagine if you were playing in a human versus human game, and you built one of these things for as much as he's worth, and you didn't bother to keep him cloaked in your base next to a depot, so it's running you about a mineral a second. 1 mineral a second, that's all it costs. 1 mineral a second is all it costs to keep him cloaked while in the base. And imagine if a Wraith just comes in and, oh, look at this, kills it. That's it. You cry. I would. I mean, if I actually cared about winning, I would cry. You know, so I keep them cloaked when they're in my base. I've seen people lose their Griffins in their own base just as some random thing, you know, like some corruptors are actually going after some other unit that's totally unimportant, and they're like, ooh, look at this, and they kill it so fast, and it's just so fragile. That's what I mean when I say just keep it in your base cloaked. If you want to be a better challenge for your opponent and not die so easily, keep it cloaked in your base when he's not doing anything. It doesn't cost much. Yeah, so there's that. He's almost done. I got it on fast right now, so it's going to take a little less than a minute. So I guess for an overview to wrap it up, Terran Air, got a lot of options here. Gone through each of them, I think, pretty effectively. Air is very important. It is your alternative option if you cannot use artillery. If you don't have siege tanks, if you can't really use them practically, whatever, air is your next bet at taking out tanks. It's your next bet at taking out just anything. Alright, he's ready to go, and this time we're going to have more of a head start. I'm seeing if the speed, I nerfed it down to 24. It used to be like 60 or something ridiculous. It was just too fast. Nobody could kill it. It was too fast, so I had to nerf the speed down to 24, which is like a normal air unit speed. The problem is now I need to see if it's not fast enough to, you know what, my target is going to be here and back. And let's see if we can't get this to work. He's going too slow. Yep, he's going too slow. Yep. Well, I just discovered that his, we're going to have to change the damage on this one. Yep. Because now there's no way of getting the Griffin out without dying. So that's not good. Alright, like I say, the mod is continually growing and improving. And I just learned that nerf from way back has actually nerfed it so bad that you can't, it's a one-way mission. So that was the air units for the Terran units for Starcraft 2 Hardcore. I'm going to do the capital units next. I'm going to take a bit of a break here, probably a couple hours, take the dog for a walk, get some food. But I'm going to come back then and finish up the capital ships. So.